Who do you think's going to take it? Hashtag REF for reform. Hashtag DEL for the deleters. The gates are now open, and we got a mirror, baby.
I think one significant change from the period of time we saw Reform dominate was that Dizio could play marksmanship, and often Zika would complement him on his maximum damage potential, but now he has to play survival, as that is the most optimal spec for Hunter currently in the meta, and maybe that's the adjustment that's setting them behind.
So I noticed Big Peter, he's going to be playing Renewal. Flappers is not actually going with that talent. What is the talent that you think he's going to be going with instead?
I mean, he could be running Tiger Dash or Wild Charge. Usually, I think you're running Wild Charge. It's a very interesting choice from Big Peter. It means he might want to just all in, they stay in their face, and then they don't expect this big heal to save him if he's overextended. But in the long game, I think that the Wild Charge is a much better kiting tool. Let's see how the Deleters decide to play it.
Yeah, Feral's normally the target of choice in these jungle mirror matches. Dizio's going to be taking a little bit of damage early on. You basically start off with a 2v2 between the Disciplined Priest and the Hunter before the Ferals decide to open.
Dizio put his pet on Relza and ate the freezing trap with his Hyena. That was a maximum level play from Hunter there by Dizio. That's going to allow them to get a lot more momentum. As we see, Big Mix is the target for now, but Big Mix is running Dwarf, I believe, so he can remove all the bleed effects. We see a reversal now with Big Peter getting swapped to, caught in a stun. Flapper stunned as well. Both teams seem to be indecisive as far as their targeting is concerned.
Yeah, Big Peter found Flappers in stealth right there. Actually, Flappers found Big Peter. That's what sort of started the action. There's full trap on both healers right now. Relza, I think he got a premonition on that trap, so nicely done by him. Going to be breaking out of that crowd control, allowing his team to get aggressive, playing the Dark Archangel as well. Really wants Dizio and Flappers to get some damage rolling, but really just not finding it so far.
Yeah, both teams almost mirroring their cooldowns. Lily has that Dark Archangel to bounce back with a big burst of momentum as both Ferals pull the trigger on their most powerful cooldowns. Flappers gets clotheslined first with 2 members in crowd control. Flappers could be in danger. He's actually just jumping onto Lily. Look for a stun. Lily uses Human Racial to break out and try and avoid a freezing trap, but not able to. Dizio secures that, but it's still Flappers on the back foot. Survival Instincts traded on both sides throughout this. We like to say that the second incarnation of the match is the Enrage timer. That's usually when the most momentum in the game happens. That's roughly 3 minutes from now. Not to say that the momentum isn't still high in this position, but it's likely that the game ends at that point. Flappers on the run, still in a lot of trouble. Relza struggling heavily, and he's very far behind on mana. Reformed are in an awful position as Flappers is flailing to stay alive.
He has nothing left, down to 10% HP. They get some CC on Lily, trying to reverse the pressure, but I think they're going to go down, and ultimately Deleters will take game number 1.
Chihuahua, that's not something you see every day. What a control.
Yeah, you can see actually Flappers, he's going to be going with the Renewal in this matchup, so taking a page from Big Peter going into game number 2. This matchup is so much about momentum. You'll see the Priests trading out their defensive cooldowns very early on, early Pain Suppression, early Rapture. They don't want to fall behind. They need to make sure they can maintain their team's HP before they go into crowd control.
All right, both Hunters finding each other and just wailing away. Relza, he Psychic Screams Big Mix to try and avoid being freezing trapped. Lily and Relza both caught in freezing traps. It's a 1 versus 1 between the Hunters. Dizio is likely to fall more behind, but really the Hunter is not the primary kill target. Unless Dizio gets caught maybe overextended and stunned behind the pillar, he is dipping fairly low. He's definitely getting the worst of this exchange on the 1v1.
Yeah, Dizio actually gets mind controlled. Very nicely done. This is a good start for the Deleters. And don't be fooled, they actually can open on Dizio if they get him low enough and they get crowd control on Relza. They can definitely capitalize on that and get a lot of defensive cooldowns very early on. So that's kind of how this plays out. Both Druids getting close to each other. Flappers might find Big Peter once again, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I think Dizio is saving all of his big burst, but he's just losing the 1v1. Well, he catches him. They managed to pull the trinket from Dizio, but it's unlikely that the Hunter remains the primary target. I think moving into the later game, they are going to go after Flappers, but getting Dizio's trinket is a bonus, at least for the start of that. But Dizio is likely, he's held on to all of his damage, so Big Peter needs to be careful.
Yeah, Big Peter needs to be in very careful right now. He actually trinkets out, so no trinket available for him. Lily is playing Relentless, so if he gets caught into the full trap, he's going to have no way out. Flapper's taking quite a bit of damage right now from Big Max as well as Big Peter. There's a full trap onto Relza. Full stun onto Flappers. Can they take him down right here, right now in this stun lock? There's the fear. Gets lower and lower. Survival Instinct is going to be traded out as well. But still, this is such a horrible spot for Reform to be in.
They're trying to reverse it with a freezing trap, but Lily gets maximum value on his Rapture. Relza was crowd controlled on his. He got no big powered shields. Lily has maximized that. That's going to put them very far ahead, I think, moving for the rest of this match. And just period, the Deleters are doing more damage. It's flat out obvious, I think, with the pace of this game right now, that they are just insanely doing higher pressure than Reformed. Flappers is always on the run. They stun up Big Peter, but it's almost just to survive. Look, Flappers is running. He's running away from its stun target. That's not what you want to have happened. And they're trying to make something happen here onto Big Peter with Freezing Trap, Psychic Screen, good crowd control chain by Relza, and Reformed, as they are finally starting to push back and get some momentum in this game.
Yeah, Big Peter's actually in a lot of trouble. Lively finally out of the crowd control, but there's a full stun onto Flappers. They have the Dark Archangel available to potentially take him down, but Lily going to be holding on to that for just a little bit longer. Interrupt onto Relza, into a stun. Flappers all alone by himself. Still hasn't used the renewal. He's got the stun. He needs the
Present! Down goes Flappers! Not going to be able to use the renewal, and I think that it is clear that Big... All of the sudden, we start saying Reformed isn't a one-trick pony. The question is, will they be able to stand their ground here on Ruins of Lordaeron? Are we not going to see them until BlizzCon?
Yeah, Reformed, they have to play very aggressive in this matchup. They need to make sure they're landing crowd control over and over and over onto Lilywell, either bursting down Big Peter or Big Max. And it really is going to come down to the synergy between Relza and Gelu. He's going to have to get the Blessing of Protections like you're talking about, Sid. And if they don't, it's going to be very easy to shut this Fire Mage down.
All right, Gelu is now out of invisibility. They can see him and they can move forward and try and set up their start. Flappers is crossing the map kind of dangerously close to Big Peter, at least for a second, as he's off screen at the moment. If they find each other, it could be devastating. They're just going right past each other and just don't see each other. Looks like they're playing it incredibly patient. Maybe they're just trying to get lucky with a flare, where you see the flare down next to Relza. If a stealth target walks into that, they get pulled out of stealth. So they're trying to find Flappers with the flare. They don't end up... Oh, they did. Nice job. So the patience paid off for Reformed.
Yeah, Flappers going to get opened up onto. There's a bash onto Relza. Gelu looking to deny a trap. Unfortunately, doesn't land. And now Flappers in a lot of trouble. Trades out the evasion and the Cloak of Shadows. This is not a good start for Reformed.
He's getting deleted right now. They had to burn all of their major defensive cooldowns. And that's due to poor shot calling, due to the flare at the start. Everything just went in favor of the deleters.
Oh, Relza.
Relza gets swapped to. He's just getting munched right now by Big Mix. We pointed out he did insanely more damage than Dizio. Now putting the pressure on Relza in this matchup. Relza's trying to get something going here with triple crowd control finally initiated. Big Peter makes the trade. Good equal shot calling there by the deleters. They're starting to pull ahead. The next Freezing Trap needs to pull a Trinket. If Relza isn't careful here, Freezing Trap, this has to be a Trinket. Trinket sacrifice. Clean call there for Relza. He's got one more crowd control break, but after that, Reformed are out of steam.
This is a nice setup coming in from Reformed. Big Peter could be in some trouble. Big Meteor coming in from Gelu. Big Peter gets lower and lower. Lily finally out of the crowd control is going to be throwing down that powered barrier. Gelu's been doing a good job getting pressure up in this game, but Reformed, they are running out of time. Relza, he doesn't have really anything left besides that bubble to allow him to get some keels off. Flappers, nothing in the tank, no evasion, no Cloak of Shadows, no Vanish. This is potentially the last defensive that they have available.
He Divine Shield before the Freezing Trap. They still have Freezing Trap. They still have Psychic Scream. As soon as those are landed, they have to kill Big Peter here in the next 20 seconds. If they don't kill him here and now, they're doomed. Psychic Scream, easy kill. The leaders will move on. 3-0ing Reformed.
Reformed just got deleted. They bring out the new composition. Lots of interesting stuff in the arena right now too. Zuniaki, it looks like, will be on the Holy Priest as well. Skill Cap Red versus the Spanish Armada. 63% of you think Skill Cap Red's going to take it. We find out now.
The first time we're going to see a Holy Priest in Battle for Azeroth, as Zuniaki looks to showcase it. He was expecting a Shadow Priest, and the one thing that Holy Priest is quite effective against is damage over time effects spread onto multiple targets. So this is a smart decision by Zuniaki as a bit of a soft counter to the expected Shadow Priest. We see Atkins actually getting started on. They found him in stealth. They're trying to initiate a surprise attack. Atkins jumps to Tharkum to try to get to safety. A Skill Capped Red likely switch their targeting now over to MZW. Looking to pull an Iron Bark from Atkins as soon as possible.
Yeah, so I was talking to a few of the competitors over the course of the week because there were so many Jungle Cleaves in last week's bracket. I was like, what are you going to do when you see those same Jungle Cleaves again this week? And the kind of theme I got was that any enhancement, Shaman, Restoration Druid composition is kind of what they consider the counter. You can bring in kind of any third to that, something tanky like a Boomkin, or in this case a Shadow Priest, obviously perfect fit for Spanish Armada. And I actually really like this composition choice from them. Meanwhile, they're playing to survive, right? The enhancement's going to be spamming out those heals. You can see he's trying to stabilize Atkins right now. You bring the Restoration Druid for the Incarnation to counter the Incarnation on Kassadin. It's just a solid overall comp. But of course, Zuniaki on the Holy Priest bringing in a little bit of mitigation for that Shadow Priest damage.
I really like the strategy that Skill-Capped Red are employing in this matchup, bouncing between the Restoration Druid and the Shaman, making it difficult for him to pick where does he want his Life Bloom. Should I keep it on myself or should I keep it on my Shaman? And Skill-Capped Red keep that as a surprise. They can catch a target off guard without it, and without that, you're more likely to force cooldowns. Unfortunately, their momentum has started to fall off now as the Spanish Armada have a heavy mana lead over Zuniaki. That attempted soft counter not really paying out. In Legion, Holy Priest mana was arguably the best mana of any healer, but in this position, Atkins with a massive lead, Zuniaki falling behind, forced to trade heavy defensive cooldowns now as well, with no trinkets on the entire team here shortly. It's actually looking better and better for the Spanish Armada.
This is a really solid composition coming out of Spanish Armada. They're looking a lot better than last week already. This is playing to the playstyle we saw from them last week, where they wanted to kind of draw out the game for that longer game. Of course, we all know that enhancement shamans were buffed since last week. A little bit of extra damage will definitely help them going into dampening, and they already had that utility, the insane off-healing, the grounding totems, the wind shears, all of that, which is already part of the toolkit. Fantastic Frackins on the Resto Druid, who, I mean, he's kind of the person they'd love to be able to swap onto, but those off-heals will really pay out for Spanish.
Yeah, Zuniaki was hoping as his Holy Priest that he'd be able to deal with this split pressure on his team, but he's falling behind more and more as they use the silence and the stun crowd control chain with heavy burst damage onto Adam Rex, looking to pull Aspect of the Turtle as soon as possible, but not finding it. In the meantime, let's see what Skill-Capped Red have really got done. They've worked through the Astral Shift of MZW. It's an important cooldown. They've worked through now Atkins' Iron Bark. So there is actually no defense for 6 more seconds for MZW. Tharkum is the one that needs to save him. Adam Rex still getting bursted, and he's just hovering at low HP. Zuniaki's mana is looking worse and worse. We haven't even stepped foot into dampening just yet. He's definitely going to need to try and find some opportunities to drink and regenerate mana, or unless Skill-Capped Red just fall at this point. Adam Rex is to trade Aspect of the Turtle, barely stays alive. Spanish Armada looking better and better. Their defensive cooldowns are now rotating and available. They've got crowd control for Zuniaki. His entire team is still at low health. He's hiding behind the pillar. Tharkum moves in. He fades to avoid the Psychic Screen, but he just can't deal with the damage. A well-timed Cyclone on the Guardian denies the effectiveness. Adam Rex forced to trinket out of the Cyclone in desperation to recover.
Yeah, he's really struggling, and the win conditions for Skill-Capped Red just don't seem to be there right now. They're struggling to get crowd control or damage over onto Atkins on that Restoration Druid, which is, of course, what you want to be doing is the Jungle Cleave. You want to either attack that healer or land your full freezing traps over onto him. They haven't really been able to do either because of this unrelenting pressure coming out of Spanish Armada. And Zuniaki, he brings the Holy Priest, and yes, it's great for kind of reducing some of the incoming damage. It's a good kind of area of effect healer, but it doesn't bring its own damage. The Discipline Priest, the reason you bring it is for that extra aggression, for that extra damage that the Holy Priest doesn't provide, and Skill-Capped Red just aren't getting anything going in this game, Sid.
They catch Atkins out of form and force his Trinket Barskin Tree of Life. That was 3 cooldowns for 1, and then they freezing trap him on it. This is a nice play from Skill-Capped Red, but Spanish Armada have basically a bulletproof composition. There's so much support. The triple healer composition has been in the meta throughout this entire season, and now bringing in the Shadow Priest, which is just a wall. You can't even target him. The Enhancement Shaman, where if he's not crowd controlled, the Healing Surges just pump people back to full health, and then the Restoration Druid with powerful low cooldowns like the Iron Bark can almost infinitely rotate through them, and the Spanish Armada have created a composition that Skill-Capped Red need a miracle to penetrate.
I mean, that was a really nice swap from Skill-Capped Red. I like what they're starting to do now. They forced out this Incarnation using Cassidy's. They got the Trinket. Now they've got the Bark Skin out the way. They need to get another connection, though. Zuniaki actually drank to full during that time as well, which is obviously huge for the team of Skill-Capped Red. That full mana bar will mean that Zuniaki will be able to elongate the game a lot longer if he can keep his team alive here. They need to stabilize. Guardian used there to do that. Cassidy in a little bit of trouble, uses up the stuns. I'd love to see him try and get over to Atkins. Atkins actually leaping in there, tasting blood in the water, looking for the kill on Cassidy. If they can recover this, though, Atkins is definitely going to be a good kill target as dampening starts to stack here, Sid.
One thing I want to credit Skill-Capped Red for is they were the only jungle to take a game off XRB to the moon in what was arguably one of the hardest counters we've seen, and this might even be more difficult of a counter comp. Skill-Capped Red still just play for any possible win condition despite the odds being stacked against them. They keep going, trying their best, and they often manage to make it work. So if there is a team that could take down such a well-crafted composition, it would be skill-capped red. Zuniaki making his return in this season. Unfortunately, too late to get enough points to get to BlizzCon, but he's setting up momentum moving into next year to be a real threat in these tournaments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that he's done such a good job of, I think, is we've seen these Jungle Cleaves that can play the aggressive style, and we're very happy with that. But skill-capped red also have shown that they're adapting to this more defensive playstyle where they let Zuniaki get the drinks, even playing the Holy Priest here. This is more of attrition type of game, with the Jungle Cleave, of course, still having that high rate of single target damage and crowd control. You can see Cassidy, he's putting out a lot more heals. We credited him a lot last cup on how defensively he played. He's dropping very low right now, though, playing behind the pillar. And this is the other thing, the Shadow Priest and Enhanced, not only do they bring such great defense, they also have fantastic offense. And when it comes to dampening, the Holy Priest might just struggle single target healing.
I mean, let's look at this. Zuniaki already drank to full. Cassidy's on the run. He could easily just fall in this final crowd control chain. Guardian saves him. Atkins gets swapped to, but it's unlikely he goes down. He's got support from 2 members. Both teams survived throughout that, but skill-capped red got the worst of that exchange. They're heavily far behind, and as I was trying to say, Zuniaki got a full mana drink. He regenerated maximum. That means he can continue healing for what we would have thought is a much longer time, but he's already in a worse condition mana-wise than Atkins, who may be drinking at this point. Adam Rex is trying to flare him. He doesn't get the drink. That was critical for skill-capped red to stay alive in this fight, but it's still not looking too good for them. Aspect of the turtle has been forced off of basically nothing. As dampening ramps up higher and higher, it becomes infinitely more difficult for either side. At this point, it's still anyone's match, but I would give it maybe a 10% chance that skill-capped red can pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, Spanish Armada definitely take the lead in this one. Adam Rex popping his offensives, but Cassidy gets chunked down by MZW, and that's going to be game 1 Spanish Armada.
And I want to take an opportunity here to actually go big picture, because it's funny to actually think this is essentially the yin and the yang of this tournament. When we actually
do a bunch of damage, if skill-capped red plays that playstyle, I think they have a long game win condition here.
And that was something that Zico said throughout last weekend as well, really putting a magnifying glass on how Zuniaki decides to play the game, even if it is on disc. A lot of different options here. The question is, will skill-capped red be able to tie up this series with their new comp?
So the perfect start here for skill-capped red is a sap on Atkins, which is why they're playing very patient and hiding behind the pillar. Mystic's just moving around, hoping that he finds him, but now Atkins is out of stealth and in combat, so maybe cheap shot, maybe Geralt. They might even attack the Restoration Druid. It is entirely possible for Assassination Rogue Feral Druid to all-in the healer. That would not play to the late game, and it doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like they're just multi-dotting, so they're attacking 2 targets at once. Mystic opened up on Atkins, got ruptured. Now Cassidy is going over to get his rake and his rip, and then they switch over to MZW to do the same to him, applying pressure to 2 targets, which is a very good strategy against the Restoration Druids. It's up to the matter of if they can keep it up. If they overextend on Atkins and they get pressured and they die, that's the risk they take with this strategy. But otherwise, I don't know if they have enough damage to really win.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the Assassination Rogue, you can almost just leave him on a healer by himself or leave him on target and he will create solo pressure. So definitely these split strategies will be good. This is what they're going for, right? The Shadow Step into the kidney shot over on the healer, just do big damage, already have those bleeds applied from Cassidy, and that's the way you generate pressure. Then the healer has to top himself off, trade off those life blooms like you say, and then they can swap back to the enhancement Shaman and kind of force him to use his healing. Of course, that spread pressure. Now we see the blind over onto Atkins. That's going to force the trinket. Big damage coming out from the incarnation of Cassidy, and already a strong start for skill cap.
That swap to Atkins at the start, they actually interrupted Atkins on the Shadow Step, so he couldn't use his bark skin. It's just unfortunate that for the team of skill-capped red that MZW and Tharkum peeled for him perfectly. Double cap totem on the DPS with a Psychic Scream on Zuniaki. They took all 3 members out of the game, which is really good defensive teamwork from the Spanish Armada. Atkins was in the most vulnerable position you can really be as a Restoration Druid, and his teammates carried him through that mistake. Now he's falling behind, though, as they get a lot of pressure on MZW. Bit of a wasted smoke bomb there by Mystic. He got a bit over eager. Maybe not, though. The damage is still following up. If they can keep a little bit more crowd control on Atkins, doesn't look like they've got it. Iron Bark is going to save the day here, and MZW will recover, I believe. Skill-capped red are showing a lot more signs of life. I like this composition a lot more than their starting lineup, and if they get one more swap to Atkins, he's got no defense. MZW's got no defense, but Mystic if he was more patient on the smoke bomb, that was an easy win condition in 20 seconds. So Mystic's over-eager smoke bomb is losing them an opportunity.
Essentially, yeah. He did do a good job, though, of swapping over with the cheap shot, baiting out that bark skin from Atkins. Now they do have those 2 openings, like you said, Sid. Good preemptive bear from Atkins, going to reduce the incoming damage here, but still a lot. Dark Archangel from Zuniaki on that Discipline Priest, providing his entire team with 15% more damage in the situation there for a little bit. Now they're swapping it back over to MZW, though, and once again, this is the problem with swapping to the Restoration Druid, is both those hybrids are going to be able to provide a ton of healing when they need to. They have the life grip. Now they swap over to MZW, though. Obviously we like this because it means the Enhancement Shaman isn't healing during those stuns. Cassidy on Atkins causing him a problem as well. Iron Bark forced out, and even the mana game is looking pretty good for Skillcat Red. They're just doing such a good job of causing problems for Atkins. He's struggling to keep up.
I mean, they know Spanish Armada want to play for a late game. They have to win on mana. They need to contend in that regard. But they catch Atkins in a stun behind the pillar. Nice Psychic Scream by Zuniaki as well, removing multiple members at the same time as they manage to now pull Barkskin and potentially more pressure. Cassidy's actually going all in, trying to stay aggressive. They're not really punishing Cassidy, but they are going after Mystic. He can't stay on target. He's instead going to switch, catching MZW in a stun with Vendetta. Massive pressure now. Atkins is expending an insane amount of mana to recover through this setup by Skill-Capped Red, all on the back of their strategy, attacking 2 targets and making it difficult for Atkins to predict who they're going to go after. He gets caught out of bear form much more frequently as he is right now, and Skill-Capped Red have a good composition, a good strategy. Everything is in their favor. It's very likely they take this game, Adrian.
Yeah, they're looking fantastic. Skill-Capped Red have looked on fire since last week, and they haven't shown any signs of letting up this week either. Blind comes out into a kick over on Atkins. One of the things I want to call out as well, Zuniaki's actually running Schism, which is a huge increase of damage on that Discipline Priest when he applies that, so watch for him casting that. Then he'll often go for a Penance, maybe a couple of Smites, really build up massive damage with that 60% modifier. Tharkum now even taking a little bit as Mystic's just trying to apply his bleeds, apply his poisons to as many different targets as possible. He catches Atkins again, Sid out of form, but once again a good life grip from Tharkum.
Atkins is so lucky to have MZW and Tharkum on his team. Every time he gets caught in these positions, his team is always there to save him, but he's slowly but surely running out of mana. This Tree of Life is easily going to tap the rest of his mana. He's not even into dampening. Zuniaki has a massive lead. That Schism choice is great against the triple healer. There's no real significant threat of single target damage with the Shadow Priest on the team. If they had a Warrior, the Schism becomes a bit more risky, but Zuniaki can get away and do maximum damage against this composition, and he's really showcasing it quite effectively here as Atkins is burning the rest of his mana at the end of this Tree of Life. I'm not sure how much longer they can keep this up. We've just stepped foot into dampening.
We just stepped foot into dampening. Of course, that major defensive cooldown for the Shadow Priest, the Void Shift, that life swap will be kind of the last line of defense here. Atkins really low on mana, but the thing is, the way the Skill-Capped Red are playing, if they can keep up the spread pressure, it's very effective against the life swap because you can only use it on one target, and it's a 5-minute cooldown. We see Atkins once again caught out of form, Barkskin, another life grip. I think that's just a wild charge actually from Atkins there, so good job by him. But now MZW's in trouble.
Ooh, that mind
see low mind controls, everyone dying on Spanish Armada, and this brick wall composition is being smashed to pieces by Skill-Capped.
Tharkum needs to activate that Vampiric Embrace. He's got it available. It would allow him to bounce his team back, but he's not pulling the trigger on it. He's waiting far too long. This is a mistake. It has to be a mistake. His team is going to go down if he's not careful. Void Shift, that allows him to save Atkins, but you said the split pressure. MZW is still low. Atkins has no mana. Zuniaki's letting it rip. Schism gets interrupted in the last second. MZW doing whatever he can to stay in this fight. Mystic makes the swap. Tharkum activates the Vampiric Embrace, but it's far too late. He could have used that 10 seconds ago and saved his team. Now they've burned through those big defensive lineups, and they're still on the back foot.
And he used his Void Form there. Tharkum does not have the Void Enchanted, the 20% damage injection. Now we see a kidney shot onto Atkins. They may well kill the Shadow Priest here. Do not go into Void Form when you are playing against the Dark Archangel. Smoke Bomb comes out, and the swap to Tharkum ties up the series.
So ultimately here, Skill-Capped Red played this composition.
Worked really well. Why didn't Skill-Capped Red blind lock the same composition? Well, they're probably more afraid of MZW and their team switching Hong in for the Mage, potentially getting kited by that Frost Mage. So Skill-Capped Red went in blind in this because they didn't have the pick advantage, and they felt Jungle could achieve the same success with a similar strategy, even though the composition with the Rogue looked like it worked so much better. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm really curious as well. I think one of the things that, you have to be really scared of the Frost Mage when you play double melee. So I definitely respect Skill-Capped Red going blind with their Jungle Cleave. Maybe if they lose this one, they would consider locking blind Mystic going into Game 5 should they get there. But one of the things I really liked Azika called out is just Zuniaki swapping over to the Discipline Priest. It's a ton of damage. They swap over to Tharkum at the start, and this is something you should often see against Shadow Priest teams. At the very start of the game, they don't build up their Insanity Bar. You can really punish that as Skill Cap Red will at the start of this game, just bursting him before he even gets to Edge.
Remember how we just said, isn't a map that they can use to their full advantage here. We're going to see Skill Cap Red sink the Armada.
I mean, that last game was unfortunate for Tharkum, and MZW trying to make a preemptive play got punished hard. So Skill Cap Red taking any openings that they can find, which is why I would probably label them as the best jungle currently in Europe. Despite these disadvantaged matchups, they still find ways to victory, which is exactly what you need to be capable of. This is a BlizzCon quality team right now, and moving into next year, they're definitely going to be a threat. Let's see if they can close this series out moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a fair statement, I think, to say that this has been the best performing jungle throughout Battle for Azeroth in Europe, certainly. They've just been so adept. They took games off XRB last tournament. They took many mirrors, and they've just been looking fantastic in this tournament as well, even taking down this tanky composition. They're actually starting the game up on MZW this time, just kind of playing that mana game. You can see Zuniaki, he hasn't really pushed for Fizz on the healer. He actually went for cross crowd control on the DPS last time to deny the Master Spell on the first freezing trap.
The nice advantage on hook point is because it's such a small distance to a pillar, you can actually line of sight the Discipline Priest a lot more easily and avoid those smites. If you can just line of sight them, then he doesn't get that effective pump of damage out. Right now, they're not really using that. They're playing out in the open. I would almost like to see Spanish Armada drag Adam Rex and Cassidy back behind the fenced wall, because right now Zuniaki's having free reign. He can attack 3 targets. He can move wherever he wants. This positioning is not looking good for Spanish Armada.
Yeah, I really like the opener coming out of Spellcap right now. They forced the Trinket out, and Atkins doesn't actually seem to be playing the tree form against the Incarnation from Cassidy, which could potentially be a big mistake, not having that cooldown to line up. It will mean he has a little bit more consistent healing throughout the game, but those late Incarnations are going to be a big win condition for Skill Caps, and now we see the triple or the double overlap of the Trinket Tremor and the Trinket from Atkins. They're going to swap over, try punish the Druid. Yeah,
and he's caught out of form. He trades Barkskin. He's got the support of the other 2 members on his team. He's going to jump to safety, but Adam Rex in hot pursuit, freezing traps him at low health. He preemptively Ironbarked MZW. That was a nice read to try and kind of shore up their mistake earlier, but that mistake earlier I think is likely going to cost Void Shift. Is it enough damage to push him over the edge is now the question. He's at 10%. Tharkum, there you get the Void Shift. Forcing that so early on is a massive success for Skill Cap Red.
And they're still doing damage. Zuniaki has Schism applied right now. He jukes the Shade, looking for big damage on MZW, who is still in trouble. Full freezing trap will come out momentarily here, but they don't even need it. Pure damage from Skill Cap wins in the game.
The shot calling just fell apart for Spanish Armada. That was a horrible...
Making a movie.
80% of you thought XRB to the moon. Defending champions from Cup 2 would take this series, but Making a Movie bring out their patented Rogue Mage Priest composition. Let's see if they can take game 1.
Yeah, and this matchup could be a preview for what's to come at BlizzCon. Both these teams running their main setups that they're known for. Acro in midfield right now taking a little bit of damage from Zeepai and Blizzo. It's going to be up to Making a Movie to make sure they can set up nice crowd control chains onto Looney to try to take Zeepai or Blizzo down.
Acro already has Shadow Blades rolling. He's looking to start an attack here shortly. Maro double blinks in to secure the polymorph, but Acro gets disarmed. Perfect defense by Blizzo in this position, and likely Zeepai will survive as a result. It allowed him to access his defensive cooldown Astral Shift, so good teamwork between Blizzo and Zeepai, but Making a Movie keep the chain going, forcing Looney's Trinket. Now there's a situation with no Trinket and no Astral Shift, Smoke Bomb available. What Making a Movie need to work through is Zeepai's Trinket. As soon as they get Zeepai's Trinket, they have a clear win condition.
Yeah, Looney actually charges in, bashes up Ratipai, manages to get out that human racial out of the way, so not going to have another Trinket available for another minute, but here's another setup coming in from Making a Movie. A lot of burst damage over onto Zeepai. He Trinkets out. That was the Smoke Bomb coming in. Zeepai ultimately does stabilize. Looney doesn't even trade out the Iron Bark in that exchange, but Tree Form was activated. So XRB is going to be feeling very safe while that cooldown's available.
And this is what I like by XRB. They played defense. They stopped the initial attack, then they immediately switch to Ratipai and try and force the issue and get more cooldowns. XRB to the moon, they play calculated. Looney has stepped up so much over the years to this point where I'm really curious to see how Botar performs, because right now I would say Looney has exceeded what even Botar was able to achieve in the past in terms of his ability to predict how much damage is coming in, what cooldowns do I need to trade, when can we get aggressive. All around, XRB to the moon are looking like a strong team and a BlizzCon champion potentially this year.
Yeah, you can really tell the coordination between XRB to the moon Looney and Zeepai. Anytime Looney gets caught into the crowd control, Acro, yes, the Shadow Step, use the kidney shot. Zeepai's just gone. He knows that it's going to be difficult for Acro to reconnect, so he's behind the pillar. He's able to avoid so much damage, and by the time they actually find damage on Zeepai, Looney's already out of the crowd control, and he's going to get topped off basically instantly.
All right, we see another swap to Ratipai. XRB to the moon know that the crowd control diminishing returns aren't available for Looney, so they get aggressive. They go after the healer, try to burn more mana. They've got a significant lead at this point. Their defensive cooldowns are rotating up. XRB to the moon are looking like they're going to lock this win in, making a movie have one big punch in about 13 seconds. If they don't net a kill on that, they're inevitably going to be falling too far behind. Here comes the first attack. They need to pull an astral shift off the back of this. Zeepai's holding on to it. It's not enough damage. Making a movie are in dire straits.
Looney pre-Iron Bark that go. Blind gets traded out there by Acro. Looney trinkets out, but that Iron Bark was insane before the kidney shot. Zeepai's going to be tanky enough, basically not using the Astral Shift like you said. And now Ratipai, he's running on fumes. He's got about 5% mana left. Looney charges in once again, gets the bash. That's his second trinket he's gotten from Ratipai. And now if Blitzo can land a full stun and Zeepai can connect, Ratipai's going to be in so much trouble.
They don't even need to land a stun at this point. Ratipai has got nothing. He's running on fumes. He needs help. Maro needs to be spamming out polymorphs, but even if he does, they don't have the mana to extend the match. They have to get a kill. Zeepai knows that. He's just going to Astral Shift, make himself tanky, and push all in for the kill. Ratipai's got nothing but this barrier to hang on, but with Blizzo and Zeepai just crunching down, I'm not sure how much longer Ratipai can keep this up. Maro is trying to punish that preemptive play by Zeepai. Zeepai's going all in, now using the Stone Form as well. He knows that Ratipai's on the ropes. He's committing everything to take him down, making a movie fall in game number 1.
And that will be game 1 going in favor of XRB to the moon, and a very, very solid game.
The win on a large map is killing Blizzo. So they can go after the Enhancer Shaman or the Druid early game in an attempt to bait Blizzo to think he's safe. He can go into battle stance or bait him to have to trinket to save one of his teammates. And they really need to save the smoke bomb because that's their most effective way to execute a kill on a large map. They can drag the warrior into a very overextended position, smoke bomb, deny line of sight on Looney, and then as a result, remove a lot more of his mana. They set up crowd control on Looney. Good triple CC. They are going after the warrior. This has to be the best strategy for making a movie overall. They initiate with tons of damage right off the bat. Zeepai trying to recover through this deadly assault. Blizzard did. He just goes down. He thought he could be greedy in that position, but Maro punishes him with that Ray of Frost channeled out of range after the Shimmer Blink. Well played by making a move.
See that coming.
That's the mind games that making a movie need to play for. They did an all-in on Blizzo. It's the most effective strategy on a big map. Now their most effective strategy is maybe an all-in on Looney. So XRB need to make sure they're in the right frame of mind. Last game it was all about protect Blizzo, but now it may be the case that they need to protect Looney. Looney actually opening with a bash on Maro into a Hex. So let's see if Maro decides to ice block this now. He's sitting through it, which is allowing Blizzo into Zeepai to start ramping up pressure and get on target. They go for the kidney shot. Looks likely that they'll be getting... He tried to War Banner, but the kill off the War Banner... He Blade Storms. Perfect time Blade Storm by Blizzo to stall out that stun lock. He was expecting him to go after him, but still he's under-responding. This is basically an all-in. He manages to make it out alive. He's running the Zelzak's Veiled Eye as well. XRB to the moon playing full defensive trinkets against the Subtlety Rogue, which is a very good strategy. As we pointed out time and time again, if the Subtlety Rogue doesn't kill you in a stun, he's probably not going to kill you, so that tank trinket allows you to survive.
Yep, very, very important here for XRB to the moon to have that solid defense, and I think that's a good adaptation from Blizzo. Making a movie, their best strategy is catching XRB to the moon off guard. Looney now potentially going into the full Ring of Frost, but no, Blizzo's there to deny. Full blind goes out onto Looney. Smoke bomb now onto Blizzo. He still has his trinket, and there's really no damage. I feel like that was a wasted opportunity. You can see Zeepai doesn't have his trinket. That might have been an opening for making a movie, but they decided to basically throw it away onto Blizzo and really don't get much.
That was a bad smoke bomb, frankly, for making a movie, and they seem to be the ones on the clock. Although mana is actually in their favor, I still think it's likely that they are the ones on the clock. Now that XRB to the moon have broken up the offense, it's time to go after the healer. Ratipai's now got to deal with that. There's a ton of damage. He trades out pain suppression to recover throughout this attack, and XRB to the moon say, okay, that's pain suppression. Now we're going to switch targets. Blizzo goes after Maro, trying to force Ratipai to use Power Word Shield, one of his most expensive heals. Burn the mana bar a bit quicker to tie it up with Looney. I'd like to see Looney pair his Innervate and Tree of Life together, so he doesn't spend too much mana with that, but he needs to be careful that he uses the Tree of Life when he actually needs it. He can't just use it right now against a Subtlety Rogue. He needs to kind of wait for the setup. Maro ice blocks aggressively. He's not going to be the kill target, but these offensive icebox potentially could be punished. Nice crowd control here by making a movie. It's a clean setup. Blizzo stalls it out, though, with a Stormbolt and a disarm on Acro. Blizzo's play when he's the target now is definitely a lot more on point than in the last match.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be in trouble at all in this matchup. XRB to the moon, they responded to making movie strategy basically perfectly at this point. Rattapie, he's falling behind on mana. Looney's not over-hotting, which he was at the beginning of the game, making sure he had full hots on Zeepai and Blizzo, so making a movie really couldn't find any opportunities. Now that he knows his team's safe, he's able to stabilize his mana. Rattapie falling a little bit behind. Blizzo and Zeepai all over him in this situation. That's the last defensive cooldown that Rattapie has. He throws out the Power Bear, and this is, you know, making a movie. They don't really have that much time left.
I would have liked to see a switch to Looney in that stun. They caught him out of bear form with no trinket. Usually as Rogue Mage, if you're going to kill a Druid, that's the situation that you're going to kill the Druid in. Instead, they look to crowd control chain him and go after a target that still has a trinket, still has a die by the sword, and still has an enhancement shaman healing him. I feel like the targeting there was a bit off for making a movie. They're slowly falling behind. The only thing that's still even remotely in their favor is that Looney's mana is relatively equal. Zeepai now pulling the trigger on that Ascendance. Rattapie doesn't have much to deflect. He needs support from his team. Maro doing his best to back him up, snaring with the Frost Novas and the Polymorphs. That was good teamwork by Maro to crowd control Zeepai through his most powerful cooldown.
Yeah, Looney pushes in, potentially looking for a bash over onto Maro, but realizing he needs to keep his team stable. There's a full blind over on Looney, sitting it for now. Maybe making a movie can capitalize on this, but Looney wants to hold on to that trinket. Is there any follow-up, CC? No. No follow-up coming in from making a movie, so Looney's able to comfortably sit that blind. He actually runs into the Ring of Frost, or the Ring of Frost out of thin air coming in from Maro, so nicely done there. Maybe just realize that if he got put on PolyDR with full hots on his team, he could basically waste making a movie's time. So now they can't get him into a full polymorph for a little while longer. Maybe a very intelligent play coming from Looney.
Shadow Blades, Shadow Fiend. These 3-minute powerful all-in cooldowns are available for making a movie. They're trying to make a play with the smoke bomb, but Zeepai not even trinketing. Blizzo lands a perfectly timed double intimidation shout. Looney's got tree form rolling. This is 30 seconds of go, go, go time for XRB. They've got Rattapie on the clock, no mana left, and they're pushing in to put him down here in game number 3.
Yeah, Rattapie's in so much trouble. He gets interrupted, just spamming out the powered shields. Maro and Acro trying to create some pressure here, but unfortunately Maro just has to throw polymorphs out to keep Rattapie alive. There's a Kitty shot over onto Looney. Maro gets spell reflected on his polymorph, gets dispelled out. Full Ring of Frost now secured onto Looney. Zeepai has the Astral Shift. He drops a grounding, avoiding a lot of that Frost Mage damage. It's going to be line of sighting, looking for a Hex on Maro. Going to be no follow-up. Actually, a nice sap coming in from Acro, assisting Maro there, but unfortunately, the damage is just not available for making a movie. Rattapie now into the full bash, gets the barrier out on that. Very nicely done to keep him alive, but he's got no mana left.
I mean, they survived the power play with the Tree of Life. Rattapie's got pain suppression for the next stun, but I don't think XRB to the moon are even going to need to stun. They could switch between Acro. They've got 2 targets at low health. Rattapie's got no mana left to heal through it. They Stormbolt Acro. Maro has been the MVP during this entire period of time that Rattapie basically has nothing, keeping Zeepai and Blizzo off them with these polymorphs, but Zeepai has equally been getting these hexes that are well-timed, allowing his team to get a lot more uptime. Rattapie's got Dark Archangel and Ice Form for Maro. They need to punch a kill through a defensive cooldown at this point. They don't have any other options. They don't have any amount of time left. Maybe just all in Looney, hope he makes a mistake. That's basically the only way I see making a movie win in this position. Rattapie pain suppression to Stormbolt. They go for the blind play, but where's the damage? Now they go for the stun on Blizzo. He can easily trinket. If he really even wants to, he can die by the sword. I mean, Rattapie's got nothing. He windshears the Shadow Men. More interrupts available. There's no pressure for making a movie. They're in dire straits. Desperation mode at this point. Triple fear. Rattapie doing whatever he can, but Blizzo knows that it's over. He's going in battle stance. There should be almost no threat. There's no smoke bomb. XRB to the moon. Perfect defense here on Runes of Lordaeron as they finally push Rattapie over, moving to match point.
He was a little bit hard to actually finish off at the end there, but Rattapie does end up. These teams will compete later today or on Championship Sunday, but XRB are 1 game away from securing themselves in that upper bracket final.
But they have shown already that they can get caught off guard. I think on Tolvaron Arena as the largest map in the pool, that making a movie should employ the kind of run and stun strategy where they've got crowd control, they go in for damage. As soon as they don't, Acro starts kiting away and using that throw dagger to try and keep up a little bit of pressure while still avoiding a lot of damage.
Yeah, blind sap on Looney. Dark Archangel gets pulled out by Rattapie. A lot of burst over onto Zeepai. Iron Bark going to be used by Looney as he trades out his trinket and Iron Bark to keep his team aggressive, keep them stable, but still a lot more pressure coming in from making a movie.
Nice grounding totem by Zeepai that soaked up Maro's Ebon Bolt and removed a lot of potential damage for making a movie. So far, Ratipai has been under a decent amount of pressure from XRB. They're just not able to get away. Those are staying on target. Looking for a Hex off the back of that wind shear. Gets kicked by Acro. Nice interrupt by Acro. Good teamwork to allow Maro to stay open. Going for a Ray of Frost now. And this is what they need to employ as Assassination. They don't have the stun the healer, stun the DPS, but they've got stun the DPS and pump a ton of damage. But they need to focus more on avoiding them. Like now, Acro is trying to retreat away using the Fan of Knives. Just get some spread pressure and avoid being attacked. They need to protect Ratipai, keep Zeepai off of him as much as possible, or he's going to be burning too much mana. Try and extend Blizzo around the corner like they have in this position. Looney's repositioned. There's no trinket on Looney, actually. I'd almost like to see a swap to him at some point and crowd control Zeepai. They've got good, consistent damage on Blizzo. I think the assassination change was a needed one for making a movie.
Yeah, Stoneform gets traded out by Blizzo, so they are going to be playing the Alliance instead of the Horde. Stoneform is going to be able to remove the bleeds as well as the poison effects that Acro provides, reducing a lot of incoming damage. So XRB is going to be able to rotate through that as the defensive. Maro pulled out a lot of damage there at with the Ice Form, with the Comet Storm over onto Blizzo and Zeepai, and I like what Making a Movie is doing. This is exactly how they need to play it. Looney is basically even on mana now. Ratipai caught into the full bash. They might be able to take advantage of this and get some pressure rolling, but Ratipai managed to find the penance and top himself off. So far, Making a Movie stabilized.
Zeepai caught in a stun lock. Looney using Tranquility around the corner to try and top him. Gets caught in a blind with no trinket. He trinketed Sap in the crowd control chain earlier instead of just automatically trinketing the blind. Now he's set far behind. They managed to pull Astral Shift, but not the trinket, and Acro isn't running Smoke Bomb either, so that opening, I'm very surprised to not see Smoke Bomb on the biggest map in the pool. I feel like that has to be a mistake strategically from Acro on the side of making a movie. They had an opening to punish there. Maybe they should have been on a different target like Blizzo, but unfortunately they didn't get a kill off of that decision that Looney made earlier. They've still got mana fairly even. They're still in a good position defensively. Ratipai's actually running Archangel and Dark Archangel. I'm curious if he dropped the Dome talent for his barrier to access that. It allows him to maybe play for a bit more of a long game. We saw Zuniaki pick Archangel as well against XRB to the moon. So Making a Movie are playing for a long game, talent-wise, but strategically, I don't think they're at all playing for that. They're allowing Ratipai to be easily attacked. I would like to see more Novas or Polymorphs to help Ratipai at this point because XRB to the moon are getting far too much uptime.
Yeah, it is true. Ratipai's having to burn through a lot of mana, but he's relatively even with Looney. Now a Kitty shot over onto Zeepai. That's going to be Iron Bark traded out by Looney. Blizzo once again doing a good job defensively, using the Disarm over onto Acro. And I really feel like XRB to the moon, they need to go onto Ratipai, but they also just need to tab target over onto Acro, keep up the consistent damage on the Rogue as well, keep Ratipai second guessing, but Ratipai's getting low. Full bash going to be used by Looney as he charges in. Ratipai almost in execute range. Can Blizzo connect? Looks like he should be able to survive. He gets pummeled, still dangerously low. Penance gets used. Fear activated by Blizzo as another interrupt. That is going to be the Archangel for Ratipai as he spams out some Shadowmans to stabilize a little bit, but still it's getting interrupted. Finally able to get away. But that was a close call.
If Acro was playing Smoke Bomb in this position, they have a clear win condition to kill Zeepai, dragging him 40 yards away from Looney. But because he didn't select that Smoke Bomb, they don't have that advantage. They're just going for consistent damage, but XRB to the moon are winning all of the trades. They're ahead on mana as well in this position. It's looking worse and worse for Making a Movie on a match point. I'm not sure that they can really find any openings here. Ratipai's on the ropes. Trinkets in desperation. Acro gets stunned up. He trinkets. They know they need to get something done. Maro ice blocks the Hex. They need to get a kill here and now, but they don't get the crowd control chain. Looney was able to trinket out and access Iron Bark, hopefully to deny the kill here. Making a Movie commit a lot of cooldowns with that Shadow Fiend. They switch targets to Blizzo. This is really Making a Movie's only opportunity is switching targets and catching somebody off guard. Well-timed counterspell on Looney. That's going to put Zeepai even further behind, but with that Dwarf Racial, he removed... If he didn't have the Dwarf Racial right here, I think Zeepai would be dead. Nice racial choices from XRB. Perfect strategy, perfect adaptations throughout this. They're looking absolutely unbeatable as Ratipai clings to life with absolutely nothing left.
Yeah, Looney's been on point, pushing in, making sure he can get that stun onto Ratipai. Ratipai actually has nothing left in the tank. It's just a matter of seconds before XRB to the moon closes out this game with a Stormbolt coming in from Blizzo. Just such clean defensive play. That game looked way better from Making a
Win the Shamans or the Druids as we load up into Game 1, Method Black versus Tempo Storm.
Well, I would say that Assassination Rogue and Enhancement Shaman are leaps and bounds above right now in terms of power, as well as balanced Druid. So bringing in a balanced Druid to try and support, bring some utility, some long game advantage, it makes sense. Both of these teams are very durable. I would say that Method Black get a little bit more oomph due to that Vendetta than the side of Tempo Storm, but Tempo Storm gets Cyclones as Swapsy's caught in one and can't attack. So that Cyclone will kind of break up that advantage that Waz gets on the Assassination Rogue.
Yeah, both teams really playing the meta to their advantage right now. There's a full bash over on a Chaz. Looks like Tempo Storm wants to get some pressure rolling over on a Chaz. Alec onto the kidney shot. Waz looking to reverse it. Doesn't pull the trigger on the Vendetta just yet. You have to wait and see where he decides to use that. Is he going to wait until Alec and Jamie, they've already committed something, or is he going to use the Vendetta to force them into sort of a defensive position?
All right, we see Botar activating Tree of Life before Vendetta from Waz, and usually Botar is a shot caller to not overcommit defensive cooldowns, but that might leave him open. They switch to him. They force his Trinket and Barkskin. These are not typically the trades that we see Botar making in this position. It's putting his team behind. It's creating openings. Unfortunately, Waz also not opting to run with Smoke Bomb. It would be a great opportunity to go after Jamie in this position as he's used his Stone Form. He can't shrink it for another 20 seconds. Pull him, overextend him, and Smoke Bomb him, but that option is just not on the table. They've managed to get a lot of defensive from Chaz, but another swap from Waz, catching Botar off guard. No control on Jamie. He's able to support. It's unlikely that they go down, but I like Method Black's effort of going after multiple targets. That's easily the best strategy against a Restoration Druid.
Well, not only that, but the Resto Shaman, he's going to have more mana than the Resto Druid, especially like you said, if they are kind of all over the place. Waz, though, in a little bit of trouble having to trade out the Cloak of Shadows. Good pressure coming in from Alec, but Alec's getting low. Botar gets interrupted. There's going to be no Iron Bark available for a little while. Alec gets into bear form, trying to be a little bit more tanky, get some off heals from Jamie as he gets swapped to in a full kidney shot. Nice pressure from Method Black, and like I was saying, if this game plays out long enough, I think Method Black, they're going to have the mana advantage using that Restoration Shaman.
Yeah, the Assassination Rogue is just really good into the meta. Strong, consistent pressure. It's good through high armor targets like a balanced Druid or Druids in general in bear form. So Method Black have kind of crafted a late game, consistent damage monstrosity of a comp, but Waz actually gets caught in a stun with no Trinket. Chaz saves the day with that Earthen Wall totem on 10%, allowing Waz now to recover. Would have liked to see Alec maybe save this Astral Power. He dumped a Star Surge into that Earthen Wall, likely a waste of damage, but he's managed to build back to full Astral Power. Jamie caught into a kidney shot. Alec activating Thorns. Very well timed during a stun. Perfect timing there by Alec. That's creating a lot of spread pressure on both Swapsy and Waz. Mana not looking in favor of Botar. Chaz still has that advantage. Unless Alec gets a huge swing with Incarnation in the next 10 seconds, Method Black are developing a huge lead.
Yeah, kidney shot now on Alec. Waz still holding on to that Vendetta for quite some time. This is good pressure, though. Botar falling behind on mana. We're not even in dampening yet, and both teams building up a lot of pressure and momentum. Jamie pulls the Ascendance. Waz has to Trinket, use the evasion as well. Chaz trying to connect some heals. Doesn't have the Earthen Wall totem for a couple more seconds as they make a swap onto him. Could be in some trouble. He responds with the Ascendance to empower his healing. In the meantime, though, Method Black building up a lot of pressure against Tempo Storm. Botar having to sit in position very far away, wants to maintain these heals onto Alec, onto Jamie, so they can continue this assault onto Method Black.
Usually as a Restoration Druid, you're running that Tree of Life when you're expected to die during an all-in. But Method Black have consistent damage as well as all-in, so all this Tree of Life is really doing for Botar is costing him more mana. He loses the Cultivation or Soul of the Forest to get the more consistent mana-efficient heals. This Incarnation available for Alec could pull off a ton of pressure due to the consistent damage of Tempo Storm. They forced double Astral Shift. Now they've got Incarnation. If they just pop that, go after both Shamans, they can easily rot the whole team down. Alec's Incarnation needs to be the game-winning play here if they want to swing momentum in their favor, because mana is not looking to be too much of an advantage for them moving forward. Alec on the back foot, though, is not finding an opening to go for that. He's wasted quite a lot of time. He could have maybe cycled into a third Incarnation shortly if he doesn't pull the trigger soon. Alec's patience might not pay off.
Yeah, Jamie into the kidney shot. No Trinket, no Astral Shift. A lot of damage onto Jamie. Botar doesn't have the Iron Bark to pick him back up as well. Method Black, they have great offense right now, as well as a solid defense. I noticed both Swapsy and Waz are running the Zalzak's Veiled Eye. They know. They just need to live, and they will eventually win, because Chaz's mana is basically an unending battery on that Restoration Shaman. Waz getting pressure down, though. Trades out the Feint and the Cloak of Shadows. as Jamie and Alex still find a lot of pressure and momentum with that Incarnation.
Botar snuck away and got a drink and almost tied his mana. Alec has that Incarnation rolling, and Waz tried to deny it by blinding him. Alec, I think, made the right decision and trinkets that blind. This Incarnation needs to be a high-value one. This is their win condition, or at least a forced Spirit Link Totem, one of the big cooldowns moving into dampening. Unfortunately, Alec isn't getting a kill. He isn't getting the Spirit Link Totem. That Incarnation didn't get anything done really other than Waz's Cloak of Shadows, so now likely he is the kill target. He still has evasion to fall back on. He needs to be careful though. He's dipping low in this position, trying to recover. No Earthen Wall for 19 more seconds. Chaz is buying as much time to get to that point. Botar getting some sneaky Cyclones in, trying to annoy the team or bait trinkets. They managed to bait Swapsy to trinket. They get him now stun locked and pinned down, trying to move forward and chase Chaz. Botar got a drink. His mana's already burning down quite quickly. Jamie caught into a stun. A lot of damage with a Winter well timed is going to net them a kill. Good execution by Method Black in game one.
Yeah, Method Black pull out the victory with the enhancement assassination rogue.
Dash into Cyclones, onto Chaz, and then it's up to Jamie and Nixie trying to lock somebody down and finish them.
I think Botar is playing this matchup in a quite nervous position, running Tree of Life. That just denies an all-in. He's very afraid of getting purged, as Vinruki pointed out, by running that talent, but he loses a lot of mana efficiency not running Cultivation and getting an extra heal over time effect. We see Method Black starting with Blind on Botar, opening on Nixie. We saw this strategy employed against Blizzo. Botar opts to Trinket and trade Ironbark. Unlikely that Nixie will now go down in this position. Botar also committing Tree of Life for the Vendetta of Waz, but those cooldowns don't line up exactly. Vendetta is a faster rotating cooldown, so Botar won't have that Tree of Life. If I was to critique him, I would say that talent selection seems to be more of a choice that he's just trying to make sure that he doesn't die to an all-in, but ultimately it's not the consistent one.
Yeah, Waz going to be using the Zalzak's Veiled Eye once again. Swapsy has the Ascendance available, and he's most likely going to be waiting for Botar to leave that Tree of Life, so his healing does get reduced, like you were mentioning, Sid, and that's going to be another opportunity for Method Black. Kidney shot over onto Botar. Doesn't look like they really have found too much damage in this window. Actually taking down Nixie. Vanish Sap coming in from Waz as well, just allowing Swapsy to basically solo down Nixie. Pressure onto Jamie. Botar caught into that crowd control. That was very nice play coming from Waz. Sort of wondering what he was doing, but I should know better than to ever question Lord Waz.
5-star style points from Waz, getting that sap out of Kidney Shot, extending the crowd control chain long enough now to force multiple defensive cooldowns from Tempo Storm. They're really on the ropes to stay in this fight. Mana basically equal at this point. Chaz stabilized with that Earthen Wall Totem, protecting his entire team here, but they can't move outside of that circle. The dust, you see it kind of getting brushed up in a circle. They have to stay inside of that to access the defensive cooldown. Nixie caught in a stun. Botar spamming out Regross in the back line, but that's going to cost him a lot of mana. Now the lead is in favor of Method Black even more so.
Yeah, Waz taking some pressure. He really is going to be that pressure point for Method Black. Temple Storm looking to abuse that. Throws a Stormbolt over on Waz, bursting him down just a little bit. He shadow steps away over to Chaz. He's just going to be allowing Swapsy to sort of be the tank that their team really needs to get out as much damage as possible. Waz, he can just get out the Garrote, some of his bleed damage as well as the rupture, and he can just try to avoid as much damage as possible with the healing reduction from wound poison, and that allows Swapsy to put out a lot of pressure. But Botar has managed to top everyone off, and you can see Botar positioning very far away, trying to get out of combat, sit down, try to drink, regenerate some of his mana, and actually potentially have a mana lead over Chaz.
I don't really like the map selection by Tempo, or actually no, I do like the map selection for Tempo Storm because they get the big distance for Botar to get drinks. With 2 Shamans, they have a lot of pesky totems that they can throw and deny drinks on Botar, so the big map allows him a lot of distance to get away and sort of regenerate that mana and stay in for a long game, as it is likely he'll need a lot of drinks for this match so far. Chaz cycling through Earthen Wall Totem, his entire team basically protected at this point. Swapsy seems to be the primary focus for Tempo Storm, but I would say the Warrior is working out a lot better for them than the balanced Druid. Winter landed on Chaz, actually banks them an Astral Shift, so well-timed interrupt by Jamie allows them to start pulling themselves back into this fight.
Yeah, was in a little bit of trouble. Fear over on a Chaz. He opts not to Trinket. He does have the Trinket and the Spirit Link available if he needs it. A lot of damage now over on a Nixie. Waz looking for some crowd control. Looking like he wants to land a cheap shot on a Botar. Potential Garrote Silence out of that. No, just spreading his damage onto Jamie. And Nixie,
nice.
Botar. What? It just happened to Swapsy.
They just slowly pulled ahead. Chaz underreacted, and Tempo Storm will walk away with game number.
Passive if they want to sit on their own pillar. Looks like Temple Storm, they want to get aggressive very early on. Waz lends a sap over onto Alec. Looking for Botar. If he can land a sap on Botar, that's a great start for Method Black, but looks like Botar is going to be able to avoid it.
Method Black tried to get a comp advantage here, but I would say that Tempo Storm have actually spun the map pick in their own favor. They're not going to be stacked up as much. It's much easier for Botar to drink on a big map. Obviously, they need to make it to that dampening point, as it's more likely the Assassination Rogue gets a kill before dampening due to Mortal Strike effect, which reduces the effectiveness of incoming healing. The Boomkin and Enhancement Shaman don't bring that effect, but the Assassination Rogue does.
Yeah, Botar is immediately going to be using his Innervate, his Iron Bark, and his Tree of Life. That wasn't even Vendetta coming in from Waz. That was actually nothing committed by Method Black. So Tempo Storm committing a lot of their defense early on, looking to get aggressive, but Method Black is doing quite well defensive. Everyone's 100% HP. They're going to be completely fine. And now Method Black's going to have an opportunity. They can get aggressive with this Vendetta, and Botar doesn't really have much to respond with.
Yeah, Method Black employing that strategy that Zico did in the pre-game. It's the biggest pillar in the game, so if you run circles around it, you can overextend your opponents quite easily. Botar overcommitting all of his cooldowns at the start of the game makes me think he's playing for a really late-game mana-oriented strategy, and maybe he doesn't think he can be punished, but Waz in the meantime gets bursted down, has to evasion, Spirit Link Totem. Method Black suddenly heavily behind on defensive cooldowns. The momentum from Tempo Storm is much higher in this match than Game 1.
Yeah, maybe Botar using those defensives early on just enabled his team to push in and get the sort of pressure and momentum that we see right now. Kitty shot over onto Jamie. Waz trying to throw out a little bit of peel, slow down Jamie, as he seems to be the main damage dealer for their team. In terms of mana, Chaz a little bit ahead at this point in the match, and you can expect that for most of the match. Botar's going to have to try to sneak away and get those drinks to regenerate his mana a little bit later on, potentially, if Tempo Storm can't close this out soon.
Yeah, Method Black doing the run around the pillar strategy, waiting for somebody to overextend so that they can gun them down. Alec the target for now, as he is the softest target to go after in this specific matchup. Now switching their attention to Jamie, trying to catch Botar off guard with no life bloom. He deflects. Good defense from Tempo Storm so far, but mana is etching forward for Method Black. Alec needs a big hit here in a minute with that Incarnation. It's basically up to Alec to burst down a kill in that window. If they can't get that bursty kill, I think that Method Black are going to roll away with consistent pressure.
Yeah, I think definitely the consistency of Method Black's composition is going to give them the late game advantage. Chaz getting interrupted. Waz caught into the bash. Has no trinket. Pre-feinted that. The only thing keeping Waz alive was a nicely timed feint before he went into that stun. Excellently done. Shadow step kick now onto Botar. Alec getting pressured down. Still has the Barskin in renewal. Decides to trade out his Thorns in order to, stay a little bit more stable and pressure Waz and Swapsy down. Now full blind over onto Botar. Botar is looking like he just wants to sit it, so not going to be using his trinket, and as a result, Method Black loses that opportunity potentially a little bit later on in the game.
Botar tried to calculate that Vendetta wasn't used. It's not worth trinketing blind automatically. Usually against a Subtlety Rogue, that is the trade that you make, but against Assassination, you want to make sure that Vendetta is the cooldown you're rotating your trinket around as they line up quite effectively, and the Assassination Rogue isn't as threatening during that downtime. But another wind shear landed by Swapsy puts Botar behind in this position, likely activates Tree of Life. Would like to see him combo it with Innervate here because he is so low on mana already, activating that Innervate. Maybe Jamie looks to maybe Chaz or Swapsy looks to purge this Innervate off, but they seem to be playing hyper defensive, looking for that late game advantage as mana is paying in their favor. Tempo Storm have been showing signs of life by going after Waz, forcing his trinkets and evasions and Spirit Link Totems, but now enough time has elapsed that those cooldowns are available again, and the advantages that they built in the early game are slowly being lost. This is likely going into dampening on such a large map the way that Method Black are playing, and if it is the case, Botar needs to start looking for drinks to regenerate his mana and extend the game, but it's difficult to do so when Swapsy and Waz are doing so much damage. As Alec was... Nice Solar Beam actually from Alec. 2 Solar Beams in a row, netting him a lot of momentum and creating a lot of scary moments. These Solar Beams definitely a win condition for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, Jamie's been able to put out a ton of pressure on Swapsy. You can see Swapsy's a little bit scared after what happened in the last game, so nicely done by Tempo Storm, keeping up this pressure and momentum. Another thing that makes it difficult for Botar to actually drink is the fact that there's 2 Shamans on the team of Method Black. They're able to get off those purges. Swapsy's still getting low. Once again, where is this damage coming from Jamie? I don't know how he's able to put out so much damage on the Swapsy, but he's really keeping him at bay, sort of allowing Alec to survive these setups.
This match, I believe he's running the Earthen Spike, so that that basically increases the damage of physical and earth attacks. Storm Strike, all your damage, that does nature damage. So every time you get that earthen spike, you just rip in with a ton of pressure. Both Enhancement Shamans running that talent. Ascendance, more of a bursty talent, and I like that. Jamie goes for consistency. Alec brings all the bursty punch damage, and that combination together works really well. The same can be said for the Assassination Rogue. Vendetta, the big bursty punch. Swapsy brings the consistent damage, and both these teams are so threatening as a result of that. Solar Beam gets fake casted by Chaz. Nice read there. That's going to allow him to recover. Now Alec on the back foot, jumping into bear form to desperately try to recover. The consistent pressure, though, is so high on both sides that Botar has not been able to find an opportunity to drink and regenerate mana. It looks like he may try to escape here shortly, but if Jamie overextends, he could get pushed over the edge, and if Tempo Storm don't get a drink, I think they lose the late game, so it's a gamble for them. Do they go for the mana and risk dying, or do they keep playing in center field and hope for a miracle kill?
Yeah, Botar has basically sat every single blind in this game. The last one was a full blind sap, and Alec and Jamie were able to deflect that incoming damage. Now looking for a drink. This is so critical for Tempo Storm. Sat down, regenerated a little bit of his mana, but not that much. Chaz still ahead, so Method Black, if they can just hold on a little bit longer, they will ultimately win off that win condition alone. Kidney shot now over on Alec. Swapsy once again! Where is this burst coming from? Swapsy has to use his Astral Shift to deflect some of this damage. Alec, he does have the Incarnation coming up around 6 seconds. Tempo Storm knows that they have the damage to push Method Black over the edge. Are they going to decide to sort of commit and all in with it?
But if Botar is almost tapped on mana, if Method Black pull the switch and just start purging, how is Botar going to deal with it? Right now, Swapsy needs to survive, though. Method Black need to focus purely on defense. He's staying next to Chaz and line of sighting Alec. They need a good way to deal with the Incarnation, but Chaz burned his Ascendance. Normally, you would use Healing Tide Totem or Ascendance to deny the damage of Incarnation, but Chaz doesn't have access to either of those, and his entire team can be in trouble if Alec has a well-timed Incarnation. I would like to see Tempo Storm either go all in for a push and get a kill in this window, or pull completely back and try and get a drink and force them to overextend. Playing in the neutral ground midfield like this, it favors Method Black.
Yeah, Botar once again, he uses his tree form, tries to top off his team, and now looking for a drink. He needs to get in a position where Waz can't just easily distract him, and Waz actually uses his Vanish, gets the distract, gets the full sap, and this is an opportunity. Botar can't really trinket out of this, or he'll be susceptible to a full blind a little bit later on. There's the blind coming in from Waz. He's looking to do something if Botar trinkets. Botar is just never trinketing out of the blind in this matchup. I think it's smart, as Method Black, they really didn't have the damage to take anyone down from Tempo Storm.
Alec pulls the trigger on Incarnation, immediately gets Cloak of Shadows, but they waited, and Chaz now has Healing Tide Totem. Healing Tide Totem very effective against this. I would have liked to seen Alec use Incarnation much sooner than this. It also stalls out the rate that he gets another one. He could have already been getting towards the 4th Incarnation at this point, but he's still stuck on the 3rd one. He's not really maximizing his damage in this case and finding any windows of opportunity. They need to maybe net a kill. They managed to at least pull Chaz's trinkets, so this Incarnation did pay out. The next one has to win the game. Otherwise, Tempo Storm, it's going to be curtains. They've got basically nothing to work with.
Yeah, Botar, he has to get a drink, but Method Black, they are not making it easy. Kidney shot on Jamie, he trinkets, uses the Astral Shift. This is Vendetta coming in from Waz. Alec rotting down as well. Swapsy's forced to use his Astral Shift. Basically, every team trading out their defensive arsenal. Chaz running out of mana as well. Shadow Step kick on Botar, though. Alec could be in some trouble. Trades out Barksian and Renewal to keep himself alive. That's sort of the last line of defense that Tempo Storm has. And Tempo Storm, I can't help but feel if Tempo Storm decides to get aggressive here, it's going to backfire on them.
Yeah, right now Earthen Wall Totem's down, so if they try to push forward, that defense should deny a kill. Looks like they're going after Chaz. Alec pre-bear forms a stun, but they overlapped. The shot calling that Botar was known for is starting to fall apart here as we move deep into dampening. If they don't get a kill on Chaz here and now, it could have been it for them, but they managed to sneak through with just enough damage to net a point on the board, moving to match point.
Tempo Storm, they are to prove they are the best team in Europe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tempo Storm have been on the up and up so far in these cups, eliminating Method Black in the previous one, now looking to knock them down to the lower bracket in this one, and this is the last time we'll see these teams go head-to-head before BlizzCon. This would be a huge momentum and confidence boost for Tempo Storm with their recently picked up Botar, who is actually running Feral Affinity against Rogue Mage Druid. Botar must think he's invincible, picking that aggressive, almost all-in talent. losing the defense of the Guardian affinity. I really hope Method Black put some pressure on Botar and try and punish him for all of these talent decisions that he makes.
You can see Waz, he's going to be running the Zalzek's Veiled Eye once again, really favoring it, and that kind of tells you the strategy that Method Black is going for. They want to try to stall out the game like we've seen them do before. Just Waz really exploit the fact that Raikou has such powerful snares, and Raikou try to capitalize on his damage as often as possible with that Ice Form and with the Frigid Grass. Nice setup coming in from Method Black, full blind on Botar. He trinkets out with the Sheep onto Jamie. That was a nice triple CC coming in from Method Black, and Botar respecting it. Trinkets, throws out the Iron Bark. That will ultimately keep Nixie alive.
But he smartly and correctly waited until Waz committed Vendetta. That way his trinket lines up with not only blind, but as well Vendetta. So he makes a very nice exchange in that regard. And he's doing what we saw Looney do in some of the earlier cups, where he sneaks away in cat form, goes in stealth, then jumps in and pounces somebody with Rake, stunning him up and adding a lot of extra damage. And they are now trying to go after Botar and punish that Feral Affinity selection, managing to strike both Tree of Life and Barkskin from Botar. The next swap to him could easily be Curtains, as Raikou has saved Ice Form, one of his strongest offensive cooldowns. Botar needs to be careful. He's being really cheeky in this matchup. I mean, he's a point up. Maybe he thinks he can get away with these aggressive decisions and try and get an edge there, but that is the opening that Method Black need to take advantage of.
Yeah, and Raikou, like you said, he has all his damage available. They just need one kidney shot on Botar, cross CC on Jamie. Jamie really is the only one that's going to be able to keep him alive. He has his trinket and ground.
Oh, he caught him!
There it is, kidney shot on Botar. Raikou connects. Big amount of burst incoming. Does he have the follow-up stun? Jamie trying to connect some heals. Nice Stormbolt coming in from Nixie. Botar still in so much trouble at this point. Connects the Iron Bar. Nice offensive Cyclone coming in from Chaz. It's going to be freezing Botar's HP, and if Method Black can stay on target, Botar's in so much trouble.
He doesn't have Frenzied Regeneration as he would with Guardian Affinity, so he can't just bounce his health back as easily when he gets bursted down. And if Waz can just stay on target, it could easily be the end of the match, as both targets on the team of Tempo Storm dip dangerously low. Perfect swap here on Nixie, but this is not enough damage? Really? That's not enough damage to take out Nixie? That was perfectly set up by Method Black. They at least managed to pull Die by the Sword, etching them a little bit further. Now Chaz getting caught off guard. Tons of damage from Jamie. We saw him solo a kill earlier on. Maybe potentially the same here on Chaz. Method Black making all the right moves and just not able to penetrate through the defense of Tempo Storm.
Yeah, kidney shot on Botar once again. Who are they going after? Nixie into the cheap shot. Raikou looking for some damage. Unfortunately not finding the follow-up. Crowd control on Botar was denied there by Jamie, but Raikou once again, he held on to all of his burst. He has a kill opportunity onto Jamie in a stun, on Nixie in a stun. Botar has his trinket. He's going to have to save that Iron Bark to deflect that Frost Mage damage that Raikou has available.
Botar sneaking in to try and get some Cyclones. Wasn't able to get it. Chaz max ranging that. We see Nixie caught in a kidney shot, but this is more of Method Black just pausing the game, trying to get their footing, figure out what they want to do. It's likely they want to get Botar's trinket with blind moving forward, but they would like to get it without committing Vendetta. Now Chaz, though, caught in a Cyclone. Waz in a 3-on-2. This could easily be his evasion, but he's amazingly kiting away out of line of sight and avoiding the incoming attacks until Chaz is out of crowd control. Good defensive awareness from Waz. They've pulled Iron Bark. There's no Die by the Sword. There's no Iron Bark. Jamie doesn't have a trinket. It blind forces Botar's trinket. Okay, now there's no trinkets on the two healers of the team of Tempo Storm. If they take those members out, Nixie has no defense. If they can set up the perfect 3-on-1 going towards Nixie, Method Black have that opening.
Yeah, definitely Waz is going to be in some trouble, and he realizes that Jamie pulling the trigger on Ascendance, trying to get some pressure rolling for Tempo Storm at this particular point, but Method Black, they're looking for a reset. They're looking to get away right now. Botar, potentially looking for a re-stealth once again, has been managing to find these stuns onto Method Black. Very nicely done. Now Nixie into the full kidney shot with an interrupt onto Botar. He activates the Tree of Life. Wants to get empowered healing out to keep Nixie in the fight as long as possible. Keep him very aggressive, and he's going to be able to do so quite easily.
Yeah, and now that's the go play here for Botar's team with Tree of Life. It's unlikely that they take almost any damage, so they need to get aggressive in their face, pressure for more mana, and sort of get that advantage moving into a later match. They still have a slight mana lead at this point in the game. Tempo Storm still keeping their eyes open for Nixie, as he's still the most vulnerable target in the matchup. Good double stun, but they need to take Jamie out of the fight. If he's free, he's going to easily heal Nixie, allowing Botar to sit through that crowd control. He managed to hex Raikou Raikou, disrupt that and deny any damage. Fortunately for Raikou, he's been very patient on this ice form. He doesn't pull the trigger on it unless he knows it's the perfect situation, which he absolutely needs to do. If it's not lined up perfectly with all 3 members crowd controlled, it's almost impossible for Method Black to net a kill, especially before dampening, which has now just finally set in.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out for him. We know Raikou likes to save the Icy Veins for a long period of time, but I feel like Ice Form on the low cooldown, it's better to just use it more often to force the other team to use defensives, because it is such a crazy amount of damage that the Frost Mage has available. Just holding on to it the whole game, I don't think that's necessarily the best use.
All right, at this point, Chaz getting Cyclone chained by Botar, and as a result, managed to force Cloak of Shadows and Evasion from Waz. So Botar's aggressive talent decision, he's definitely been utilizing it quite effectively. Although it is normally easily punished, he is maximizing it and forcing cooldowns that his team otherwise would not have been able to get. So very cheeky, but well-earned pressure from Botar in this matchup. And if he can get away with that aggressive decision moving into dampening, I think it's going to be curtains for Method Black.
Yeah, Chaz now taking a little bit of damage from Nixie and Jamie. He gets caught into the bash. Barskin's going to be traded out. Botar been playing very aggressive in this matchup. I really like to see this, but there's a full cheap shot onto Botar. Raikou, can you get the polymorph? Fortunately, not going to be able to find it. Now Chaz is the one that's in a little bit of trouble. Jamie's all over him. Nice vortex, going to make sure that Chaz stays alive. Tops himself off. Good crowd control from Method Black to sort of stall out the game and allow Chaz to recover, keep everyone topped off. Waz now, he has the Vendetta, pulls the trigger on a Nixie. Kidney shot, no trinket available. He's not going to be able to get out of it, but Botar is able to just free heal. Nixie trades out the die by the sword. Tempo Storm is going to be completely fine. We move it into 12% dampening. Botar actually, I think, looking for a drink. No, he's just looking to get out of combat at 50% mana. Chaz behind, so if Tempo Storm can keep this up, they're looking good.
Yeah, Botar keeps getting to cat form, jumping in stealth and getting these rake stuns and trying to get aggressive. Raikou lands a counter spell, trying to create an opening here. Botar doesn't care. He's just going to jump over and stun Waz. He pre-feinted it. Well done by Waz. That might be the only thing that potentially keeps him alive in this position as he falls dangerously low. Chaz recovers with Iron Bark. Now getting cloned up, though. Botar doing everything in his power to do what he can for his team to get aggressive and get a kill, but even with these aggressive plays, it's just not enough to push them over the edge as we move deeper into dampening. Jamie running Ascendance, but gets blinded on it, so even Waz now forced to use blind defensively to hang on for a late game. They managed to sneak in a polymorph. It's a 2-on-1 onto Nixie with no die by the sword. This is the exact situation they need, but they can't keep the chain going. Jamie disrupts it with the grounding totem. Botar now can easily bounce back with Tree of Life, and Tempo Storm's teamwork has looked almost unbeatable. A well-timed Cyclone here on Nixie pauses his health for a few moments, allowing them potentially opportunity to crowd control Botar off the back of it, but they don't have it. Now Nixie recovers. Botar's in cat form. He's ready to add a little bit of extra damage to his team. They switch off of Waz to Chaz, try and catch him off guard, but not enough damage to take him out, I don't believe. Now Nixie under fire, tons of damage. No Iron Bark, no die by the sword, but Jamie easily backing him up with some extra healing surges. Jamie getting polymorphed away. The mana leads slowly but surely getting more so in favor of Tempo Storm, and these rake stuns from Botar could net them be the game-winning play, really. It was a risky decision, but if deep in dampening, Botar gets one of those stuns, Waz doesn't make it out alive.
I'm kind of wondering if Botar is a feral druid at this point in the game with how aggressive he's been. Chaz gets caught into the stun. Jamie able to connect. Nice polymorph coming in, though, from Raikou, going to be able to keep him alive as they make a swap over onto Nixie. No trinket available. A lot of burst damage available for Method Black. This is the ice form. Botar has his trinket available, but can't really trinket out just yet. Doesn't want to be susceptible to that full blind. There's a kidney shot on a Nixie. A lot of incoming damage. Botar he doesn't have the Iron Bark. This is actually big trouble for Nixie. Jamie has to connect the heals, ultimately finds a few on Nixie. He's going to be able to stabilize. Nixie now wants to get aggressive with his avatar, get on target. There's a full Stormbolt over onto Waz. He feints it, nicely done. Trinkets out as well. Into the bash, though. All 3 members of Tempo Storm looking to close out this game. Waz shadow steps away defensively. Can he make it out of this alive?
All right, Waz, what are you going to do? Evasive maneuvers as he kidney shots Nixie. Raikou polymorphs Jamie to control the whole team and allow Waz to escape behind the pillar. But Botar's actually the first one to make it to Waz. Botar, with that Feral Affinity, does act as a DPS member, and it makes sense with how durable the composition is, going for a talent that gets you more damage and gets you more burst. So it's a good adaptation by Botar, realizing how durable his composition is in the meta. This aggressive pick allows his team more damage. Well-placed wind shear here on Chaz. Waz will dip low as a result, proccing that Zelzak's Veiled Eye trinket. He's not going to have that shield moving forward. The momentum is completely in favor of Tempo Storm. We are now deep in dampening. They are behind on mana. They are behind in cooldowns. They are behind on pressure. It's 45 seconds away from any sort of opportunity to swing back. Tempo Storm merely have to push in at this point to finish them.
Yeah, Waz still in a lot of trouble. Botar gets caught into the kidney. Method Black looking to punish Botar for being this aggressive. Activates the Bark Skin. There's the DR Bash. Do they have the damage to push him over the edge? Jamie not in crowd control, able to assist with some heals. Bark Skin's going to keep Botar alive as he looks to make an escape. But still good pressure coming in from Raikou. Botar finally gets away, but Waz all over him at this point. Ironbark almost available. Botar needs to top himself alive. This is such a scary moment for Tempo Storm.
I mean, he doesn't have Guardian Affinity. He's just, he caught him out of form. Nixie tries to back him up. That Intimidating Shout's the only thing, but Evan Bolt on the back of it. He Ironbarks in between the stun lock. That might be enough for Botar to hang on. His Tree of Life, and then Venom takes him down. He's spamming out those regrowths, trying to stay in this fight. He would like to innervate, but he doesn't have the global. He's just spamming out regrowths. Botar manages to stay alive. Now they can lead forward and get aggressive. Double stun. Chaz trinkets. He's desperately trying to keep Waz into this fight, but the mana is so far in favor of Tempo Storm. Luckily, Waz has Vendetta. He catches Botar. Is he going to go all in? It looks like he's reluctant to do so, but he pulls the trigger on it. It's all or nothing. Botar has to go down at this point, but if he doesn't, it's likely that Method Black will lose. They've got good crowd control on Nixie. They need to look to rotate that over to Jamie. This Vendetta is not going to net them a kill. Dampening is ramping up to immense power at this point. How much longer can Chaz keep this up?
Botar's in cat form once again. He really does not respect the damage coming in from Method Black. That was such a scary moment. Botar just millimeters away from dying. Jamie and Nixie playing perfectly to keep him alive. Ironbark going to be committed now by Botar. Actually, it fades. Waz in a lot of trouble, though, having to run away. We have 42% dampening in this matchup. Both Druids going to continue to struggle, and Raikou needs to build some pressure for his team with the Ice Storm. Waz in execute range, though. Doesn't have anything, trying to kite away. Jamie looking to close out this game. The Botar wants to get aggressive, wants to land the crowd control, and Chaz gets interrupted. Raikou spamming out the polymorphs, everything he can. Chaz reconnects to Waz, able to top him off, but this is so scary for both teams.
I thought for sure that Rake stun on Chaz was going to close the game out, but Waz, once again, with evasive maneuvers, keeps himself alive in the fight. Now caught in a Storm Bolt. Nixie gets polymorphed away. Die by the Sword was traded out a bit preemptively by Nixie. As dampening ramps up, it becomes difficult to manage these cooldowns. You often need to trade them just to make a final push, but in that case, Nixie's push didn't pay off. Now he's a massive open target for Method Black. Should they be able to extend the match just a little bit longer? But Botar, once again, with that Feral Affinity gunning down for Chaz. All three members dogpiling on Chaz. Intimidating shot on Waz. It's so deep into dampening. Will Chaz be able to handle this is the question. Diminishing return Stormbolts, Sharpened Blade, tons of damage, but they managed to lock Jamie out of the fight long enough that Chaz is slowly but surely escaping out of line of sight. Jamie moves in. Botar sitting, he re-stealths. He's got huge damage, and Tempo Storm walk away once again against Method Black 3-1.
Botar played that game so insane, really showing why he is a two-time BlizzCon champion.
Going to look as somebody who's multi-classing. Is he going to be able to make this healer work to even close to the level that he can make disc work? If not, they will get deleted.
Okay, well, I like to see this. Of course, we did see Making a Movie run this composition in Game 5 against Jungle Cleave last tournament. They ended up losing that one, but it was obviously fantastic to see them playing the multiple compositions. They used Villi and Acrolaws. Big questions on Radapai, though. How is he going to play on this Paladin? Because last time, they made some mistakes with the defensive cooldowns, and it ended up costing them the game.
Well, they ended up just picking a really bad map and a bad strategy for the map. Radapai already uses the Trinket and the Blessing of Sacrifice to keep Acro very, very aggressive as they make a big swap over on the Lily right now. Mending Bandage going to be used by Big Mex in order to keep Lily alive. Every time he uses that, he's going to be able to remove the bleeds and the poisons that Acro has available. So it's a very effective defensive tool that Survival Hunters have.
It really is an effective tool, and that's one of the reasons you would bring the Holy Paladin, is because you have so many defensive tools that will basically mitigate the cooldowns from deleters, and that's kind of what you're going for. We see the blind over onto Lily right now. He's playing the Relentless talent, which is something we've seen from a few of these Jungle Cleaves, but of course the blind is the big punish for that. They don't really achieve too much, though, with that full blind. They're going to make a swap over onto the Discipline Priest, but not to any big avail as defensive cooldowns coming in. Big Mex coming out with that Mending Bandage, of course, one of the big tools for the Survival Hunter, able to remove all the bleeds from his Discipline Priest.
Yeah, Big Peter throwing in some off heals to help stabilize the team of the Deleters. It looks like Making a Movie, their main strategy, just sort of rot everyone down, but everyone from the Deleters has decent self-healing. Looks like Lily is going to be the main pressure point once again. Kidney Shot gets committed by Acro onto Lily. He's barely surviving in this situation. Valet basically able to just free cast, getting a lot of pressure out. And Lily, he's going to have a very difficult time stabilizing at this point. There's a full bash trap on a Ratipai. Acro pre-pops the evasion, wants to avoid as much damage as he can. Mind control's coming in from Valet as well to slow down the deleters. And now that they've sort of weathered the storm, making a movie once again, they can get aggressive on Lily.
Yeah, they're looking for it, but Ratipai actually runs in, tanks of fear and bubbles. That's an interesting play there coming out from him on the Holy Pan. He's looking for the Repentance. That's why he pushed in the first place, just trying to get that crowd control over onto the DPS, but he gets punished hard there. That 4-minute defensive cooldown is now down for Ratipai. They're swapping over a little bit of damage onto him, giving him something to think about. We're expecting Freezing Trap to come out momentarily here as they're going to be targeting Acro Laws. They're trying to preemptively do it. Ratipai maybe a little bit scared here. Here comes the trap. We're expecting a full trap out of that stun from Big Mex. They have to cover Villi though. He does have the spell available. He's not going for it. Void Shift forced out. Acro Laws still in trouble and making a movie have almost no defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, Ratipai, he has his Trinket and Sacrifice. Those are the only two things keeping making movie alive. Melee Wing's going to be used by Ratipai, that Avenging Crusader. Every time he deals damage, he's going to be basically able to top off his team. Every time he does damage, they get healed up. Now, making a movie, this is their turn to get aggressive. Big Peter getting low. Big Mix as well. He's going to be taking some pressure. Kidney shot onto Lily, and this is the setup I want to see for making a movie. Get everyone low. Void Form actually gets used by Valet. He wants to get super aggressive. This can backfire easily, but making a movie, they want to close out this game.
This is the all-in from making a movie. They need to win right here, right now. Lily low on health, but it looks like he might survive it. They might make the swap over onto Villi here. Looks like Acro Laws is still the target of choice for now, as Ratipai, I think actually Master Spell maybe coming in on the CC there. Either way, not able to land it. Ratipai escapes without using his Trinket. Villi will be able to stack up his Void Form once again, uses his Vampiric Embrace for the self-healing as well to keep his team sustained. And I really like the fact that Villi went for it. It's one of the things that we'll only see the top discipline or the top Shadow Priest going for, using that Void Form for the additional damage when they have a kill opportunity and not getting punished for it. It shows great game awareness as we see once again Master Spell onto Ratipai to keep him out of that crowd control.
Yeah, Acro in some trouble though. Full trap on Ratipai. He has no way to get out of this. Acro has to keep himself alive. Evasion Feint going to be used out. Valet gets interrupted. Nice cross crowd control coming in from the deleters. Acro running for his life. Ratipai has to play catch up, but I don't think he has the healing available to keep him alive, and ultimately the deleters will clean them up and win game number 1.
It was like,
and they haven't found a comp that incorporates him well, and that's where they need to make the improvement going into BlizzCon.
and the thing was, it was like, okay, you had Legion, and it's like, sure, you knew BFA was around the corner, and it's like, okay, we'll figure it out, maybe BFA. Time for procrastination's done. Got to get that homework in on time if you want to be able to actually move forward to the next step. Now, the question is, will we see making a movie on the composition that has gotten them so far get deleted yet again?
Ooh, Big Mex as well as Acro getting very close together. Acro almost in position to take potentially Big Peter out as well if he can find him in stealth. Manages to land the sap. This is a great opener for making a movie. They get the sap on Big Peter, blind on Lily. Now they're doing a huge opener. He has to Trinket Survival Instinct. I think that was the perfect response. Lily gets out of the fear, throws a fear over onto Ratipai, unfortunately into the full polymorph. And now, making a movie is actually getting forced into the defensive position where Ratipai's caught into a bash. He has no Trinket. Acro has to sort of kite away and just survive.
Yeah, we saw quite a lot of cooldowns forced out there from Big Peter. He had to use his Trinket, of course, that's the big one, and Acro Laws is playing the Smoke Bomb talent, so we'll be looking to set up an opportunity over onto Big Peter later. Lily, of course, has that Power of Barrier as the kind of anti-Smoke Bomb that the Discipline Priest has. We see Kidney Shot now, might be looking for something. Lily actually Trinkets, tries to Premonition the Sheep, but Mauro fakes that, gets the full Polymorph. Excellent read from Mauro.
Very high-level mage gameplay. There is another polymorph over onto Lily as they look to try to find some pressure over on a Big Peter. Full trap now on Ratipai. Acro once again has to play defensive. Going to be using this Power Word Barrier as well as his Feint to survive. But you can see Acro doesn't have anything left. No Vanish, no Feint, no Evasion, no Cloak of Shadows. Ratipai's going to have to keep him alive, but if they can land crowd control on Ratipai without him using that paint suppression, it's going to be very dangerous for Acro.
It's going to be very dangerous as we see the Smoke Bomb coming up, but he grips the Smoke Bomb. Lily with another huge play in this matchup. That was the kill for making a movie there. They got Big Peter in the stun, in the Smoke Bomb, gripped by Lily. That could be the game-winning play. Full trap now over onto Ratipai. Acro Laws is on the run. Polymorphs coming out galore from Mauro, who's just trying to keep his team in the fight, but that was the win condition, and Lily comes out and says, nope, Deleters definitely take the lead in this game.
Yeah, big heals on a Big Peter. He's going to be moving in, wants to close out this game, putting pressure onto Acro. All they need is one more CC chain. Nice polymorph over onto Lily. They're looking to get aggressive on Big Peter once again. Mauro actually ice blocks the CC, looking for the re-polymorph onto Lily. Nicely done. Will Big Peter be able to get away? Another fear coming in from Ratapai, but it seems like Big Peter is going to be able to survive. Another Flurry Ice Lance combo going to be connecting from Morrow onto him, but Lily gets out of the crowd control, stabilizes his team, and making a movie. They're running out of time.
Yeah, they really are. You can see Ratapai's mana pool very, very low. This next crowd control could be deadly, although Ratapai has managed to rotate his trinket back up. We're seeing Mighty Bash come in here as the trap should follow. There it is. Lily, though, at the same time, caught up in the blind. This is the crossover. Trinket from Ratapai trying to keep Acrolos in the fight. Dark Archangel will achieve nothing due to the stun on Acrolos, and he's the one now trying to put some pressure onto Big Peter. You can see that tank trinket, the Veiled Eye, proccing as he's kiting away for his dear kitty life. DR Fear shouldn't be enough to land the kill, though. That relentless stance from Lily keeps them through the blind and keeps them in the game.
Ratapai has nothing left to work with. There's a fear coming in from Lily. Acro, last line of defense is that evasion. He shadow steps over to Lily, just trying to avoid some pressure from Big Mex. And it looks like some polymorphs coming in from Morrow as well, but Ratapai into the full trap. I don't know how Acro's going to survive this one. Into the full stun and ultimately gets taken down. And this is just how this matchup has played out. Making a movie, they have to win so quickly. Really rely on the mistakes coming in from the deleters, and if they can't catch
movie, they're a team that should be strong enough to adapt.
You know, back at the first LAN of the year, it was Flappers who just did the most damage. And now the question is there a new king of the jungle? Is it going to be Big Peter? Because you look at the damage meter, and he has just been crushing all day long.
Yep, Acro in stealth right now, looking for an opening. If he can find Big Peter in stealth, that would be a great start for them if they can get a sap there. I really want to see Ratapai play very far away from Lily. He needs to not be tanking any fears in this game. Just needs to sit back, rotate through his defensives, and allow Acro and Valet to slowly whittle down the deleters.
Yeah, this is the thing that you'll see often in these kind of stealthy stealth matchups. Acrolol's only goal in life right now is to find Big Peter. If he can find him and land a sap onto him, that's going to be a fantastic opener for this Shadow Priest rogue composition. You can see Ratapai, he's got the Avenging Crusader. He's looking to put out a ton of damage as well. Big Peter getting close now, almost finding him. Are they going to find the sap here?
Acro moves in. Garrote on the Lily right now. Looking like they want to get started very early on. Big Peter responds with a stun onto Acro. Kitty shot on Lily, so managed to find the pain suppression from Lily. That's a big victory early on.
They actually silence up Big Peter there. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Maybe trying to stop some of those off heals, but not too much to be achieved from that. We see the fear now in Ratapai as they're once again getting aggressive over onto Acrolos. He's used every single defensive cooldown aside from that Vanish. We see Evasion, Cloak of Shadows, Trinket from him. Ratapai putting out a lot of damage with the Avenging Crusader. We see a blind onto Lily into the full sap. They're looking for something on Big Peter here, but not achieving too much. The preemptive bear form should be enough to keep the Druid alive.
Yeah, that was a good play from Peter. He throws some heals on himself as well. Looking like he wants to get aggressive in cat form once again. Acro a little bit vulnerable in this situation. Nice life grip coming in from Valet. Ratapai's been holding on to his Blessing of Sacrifices as well as the Blessing of Protection, so those are going to be available for him. Ratapai basically has every single defensive left. It looks like making a movie. They want to rotate a little bit differently. Ratapai gets out of the CC, throws a Blessing of Protection, gets dispelled. Feint going to be enough, but Blessing of Protection gets dispelled instantly by Lily. Acro's still going to be vulnerable. Hand of Sacrifice has to use by Ratapai, but Lily in a little bit of trouble as a nice mind control comes in from Valet, trying to walk him out of that defensive cooldown.
I actually really like the adaptation coming here from making a movie. Ratapai, as you can see, hasn't used Trinket or Divine Shield. Rather, Acro has used his defensive cooldowns, and those are going to rotate much better because, you know, they're just simply on shorter cooldowns. He's going to have the evasion up in about 50 seconds. Ratapai still has one of those Hand of Sacrifices available as we see Big Peter going for the Mighty Bash. They're trying to peel for his healer now. Acrolos, though, is in a very safe situation. Ratapai still has Trinket, still has one of, or uses his Trinket there, has one of the Hand of Sacrifices available, and you can see the rock pressure coming out from making a movie. Lily's already used about 70% of his mana pool. He's really struggling in this situation, and Vilai has a lot more space to cast out those mind controls because he's not having to play so defensively.
Oh, that was so nicely done. Lily, for the first time in the game, tries to run over to Ratapai and land a fear, but Valet denies it with that mind control and walks Lily so far away, and unfortunately with the crippling poison coming in from Acro, it's going to be a very slow walk for Lily to actually get that crowd control he needs onto Ratapai. Ratapai positioned very defensively right now, trying to top himself off. Has been exchanging his health for Acro's in this. There's a full trap on Ratapai. He bubbles, trying to keep Acro alive. He's got 1 second on evasion. He gets stunned up. He gets taken down to the stun. It's going to be a disaster. He trinkets out evasion. Cloak of Shadows. Vendetta gets pulled as well. Lily just needs to hold on for a little bit longer as he gets low into the full silence, making a movie, looking to claim game number 3.
Making a Movie has finally been able to make this composition work, and one of that whoever loses this is done from this tournament. The last tournament before BlizzCon, the gates are now open.
Yeah, Making a Movie, life on the line. We'll have to see how they open up. Valet going to be charging in right away, wants to get some damage rolling, get himself into that edge of insanity, so it doesn't really take too much damage. Trinkets out of the pounce and immediately, actually, so he wants to get those dots up so he can get that insanity generation going, but maybe the deleters can capitalize on it.
I think it's a nice move from Valet because you will get the insanity up much faster. You don't want to get caught up taking too much damage in that opener. Gets a beautiful triple fear there as well, just to kind of start the game off, and he has that full purple bar now, so he's kind of out the picture as a target. We'll now see deleters go over to Acroloz, who has committed his Vendetta, and if they can get a lot of damage here, we see Radapai's already committed his Trinket to this go, which is different to how they rotated in Game 3.
Yeah, Acro low. If he has to trade out the evasion here, it's going to be a disaster. Kidney shot now over on the Lily. Once again, Making a Movie, looking to get aggressive. Silence on the Lily into a Hodge. A little bit of an overlap there from Making a Movie. Lily's going to be able to survive. Mending Bandage gets traded out by Big Mex. Once again, Lily running away. Gets distance for one of the first times in this matchup, and Deleter's actually turning their attention onto Radapai. If they can force up the bubble here, it could be huge.
Yeah, I mean, it really could. That would be the last kind of crowd control breaker Radapai would have available to him. I believe he used his racial there on the dwarf to reduce some of that incoming damage, remove some of those bleeds, and also get a healing increase since he is playing the new racial there. We see Radapai looking for some repentances, and this is something they can do as well. They can get the repentance onto Big Mex and then crowd control it with the stun on Lily to deny the incoming dispel. That would be something that would definitely be a good play for Radapai without exposing him to, you know, running towards the Disc Priest and getting himself Psychic Screamed. We can see Lily kind of slowly pushing up, but because they're targeting him the entire game, it's so hard for him to land those fears.
Yeah, now Acro into the main, and Lily still charging forward. MD going to be thrown out by Valet. Lily right there for the fear. Is he going to be able to land it? The sacrifice comes in from Radapai, and Lily actually just decides to not fear him because it would break anyways, as all the damage onto Acro is being redirected onto Radapai. So I think that was a smart decision, sort of forcing Radapai's hand to use that defensively to make sure he's not caught into the crowd control so he could save his bubble, but it's basically just a fake from the deleters.
Yep, and I mean, they get the cooldown, right? They get the second sacrifice. Now Divine Shield has to come out from Radapai as well. He has nothing left. Trinket rotating in about 13 seconds, but he won't have a sacrifice to press. Acrolol still has the Trinket evasion, though. Actually trades out evasion maybe slightly preemptively here because Radapai did use that Divine Shield there. Now we see the Avenging Crusader. That's going to be trapped Trinket from Radapai. All the defensive cooldowns, they're all inning on this go. Blind, Fear, Cross Control. Lily, though, with the Rapture should be able to sustain if he can just get out of the silence here. Big Peter's back. He's looking for the peels, trying to deny this kill, off healing as much as he can, and now Making a Movie without defensive cooldowns are in a lot of trouble there.
They have nothing except the Void Shift from Valet. Full fear on the Radapai. Valet has to keep his team alive. Acro running for his life. He gets the freedom by Radapai. It's going to allow him to cut just a little bit more, but actually Big Mex is the one that could be in a little bit of trouble here. Nice mind controls coming in from Valet, slowing down some of the damage from the deleters. Acro still could fall, though. Full trap on Radapai. Does get a mass dispel by Valet, which was huge, allowing Radapai to get those heals out that he critically needed.
Yep, that's one of the big reasons you bring the Shadow Priest to the matchup. That mass dispel on the 45-second cooldown, removing your healer from crowd control of magic, or dispelling any magic, let's be honest. Definitely the thing that kept Making a Movie in the fight there. Now they have another lease on life, and Lily is low on mana. That mana pool at about 5%, I would say. Maybe a couple more Radiances in the tank, but that's about it. Big Peter trades out his final survival instincts, I believe, here as well. So really defensive cooldowns for deleters are struggling. Radapai, though, also low on cooldowns, doesn't have any of those crowd control breaks. If they can land the trap here, good mind control, though, coming out from Villi, denying that from Big Mex. The trap's slightly late. Acrolol's running, gets caught up in the stun, could die here. This is match point. Villi comes in with the life swap, trying to keep his team alive. Full fear onto Radapai, though. This is not over yet.
Yeah, Acro puts a kidney shot on Peter, realizing Lily has no mana whatsoever. Making a move. If they can hold on a little bit longer, they might be able to take Peter down. Acro still just flailing to survive. He's taking so much damage in this matchup. Radapai almost completely tapped on mana. No cooldowns available. Big Mex all over on Peter there as well. Maim stun onto Radapai. Acro all alone. Mind control onto Valet. Still just trying to kite away. No cooldowns left. And the deleters will take him down.
Another BlizzCon team deleted by the deleters. It's just the theme.
Expecting from Twitch chat, they want Zuniaki. They want the legend to return. Zuniaki going head-to-head against his former teammates with a composition that is quite unorthodox. The Feral Druid and Arms Warrior is not a composition we've seen at very powerful strength levels in quite some time. It's going to bring a lot of burst damage and that Mortal Strike effect, and they're looking to kind of reduce the effectiveness of that enhancement Shaman healing as a result. It's curious to see how Chaz plays on Holy Paladin. I feel like this is the first time we've seen him on it this expansion.
I think it's going to play pretty well. I mean, it seems like the Holy Paladin is a good answer for the Warrior and the Feral Druid. You have the Blessing of Protections to remove the bleeds as they make them immune. Zuniaki's going to have to do a great job at this game with making sure he's dispelling those. The Blessing of Protections, Fear coming in from Mystic. Good pressure, forced kill cap Red early on, but Raikou wants to turn around the pressure. He's going to be using his Metamorphosis.
And that barrier from Zuniaki will deny a lot of pressure, as well as a Storm Bolt by Mystic. Mystic has been very crucial on his team in the tournament today with the Assassination Rogue that he broke out in the first round. Now he's going on to the Arms Warrior, chopping up Method Black, forcing Darkness this early on. It trades well for the Incarnation of Cassidy, so it's a fair 1-for-1. But now Chaz does not have that safety net to rely on moving forward for quite some time. Skill Cap Red in that downtime are going to look to force even more cooldowns. They're trying their hardest to get a Blessing of Protection here from Chaz. Just not enough damage. Zuniaki's been getting very cheeky mind controls and actually punching the teammates of Swapsy with Swapsy. They managed to get Nether Walk from Raikou, so Raikou's running out of cooldowns. Chaz is not in a good position. This is looking completely in favor of Skill Cap Red.
Yeah, Chaz is just such a vulnerable target for Method Black as they look to close out the game. Can they force the Divine Shield? Double stun coming in from Raikou to keep Chaz alive just a little bit longer. Going for the Holy Light, finds it. Swapsy, Raikou both rotting down as well. Zuniaki's been doing an excellent job in this game so far. Raikou looking for the mana rifts to run him out of mana, but just been under so much pressure that he hasn't been able to consistently find them.
Every single time I look at Raikou, he has to activate a defensive cooldown. He's really on the ropes right now. Mana at least is in their advantage, but momentum's completely in favor of Skill Cap Red with 3 members below half. Psychic Scream on Swapsy for some cross crowd control. Chaz has to Divine Shield merely from the presence of Cassidy. Swapsy's constantly getting mind controlled. You can tell that Zuniaki is back. He wants to show what he's got here. His team has got so much momentum. This composition was completely... You couldn't have predicted this, and it's really putting Method Black behind.
Yeah, Method Black, they were looking for a Jungle Cleave with this matchup, and Skill Cap Red read the situation. They realized, and it looks like picked a perfect answer. Mystic on the Arms Warrior's just been able to put out so much consistent pressure. Chaz is just falling behind. Activates a big heal on himself with the Divine Favor, but he's running out of gas.
Whoa! Swapsy goes over to Zuniaki and just trying to take him out by himself. Raikou follows up now as well. Zuniaki goes for a knockback, trying to kite. His Rapture-powered shields have not even really restabilized him. This swap over to Zuniaki has put Method Black back in the fight. He's almost completely tapped on mana now as Raikou is looking for that win condition with Mana Rift. Just a couple more, and Zuniaki's going to be out of this fight quite shortly. Chaz, in the meantime, with no Divine Shield, is a vulnerable target. If Skill Capped Red decide to all-in him, I feel like that's their only opportunity right now. It's basically going to be a race to see who can kill which healer the fastest, I would expect.
Yeah, Zuniaki manages to get away. Chaz tops up his team as well with his wings. He's going to be empowering his healing, and that's why Method Black is stabilized. Zuniaki, he's running for his life. He's behind the pillar, just trying to avoid damage from Raikou and Swapsy as long as he can, but they're on target once again. Raikou just needs to get there. Can they find the stun? Hammer of Justice on Zuniaki. Chaz pushes in, wants to assist his team with this kill. Paint Scratching going to be used by Zuniaki as well. He's looking for a Fear, finds it over onto Chaz, trying to take down Swapsy. Activates the Astral Shift. Zalzek Veiled Eye will keep him alive as well. Method Black is looking very good.
I mean, in this position, I still think it's anyone's match. Method Black with a slight lead, and if Cassidy's Incarnation does not get darknessed by Raikou, this is the Incarnation. Raikou needs to save the team. He's going to jump in, drop that darkness right away. Fair trade. Cassidy needs to retreat. Mystic should retreat. Wait for that powerful purple darkness circle to fade before they launch another attack. Zuniaki's almost tapped. He's got one more Dark Archangel, really, I think, left in the tank. They could net a kill with it. There's not much if they can purge off Blessing of Protection. Skill Cap Red, I think their only opportunity still is an all-in on Chaz. There's the Blessing of Protection. They need to remove this, but Zuniaki's not in line of sight. Chaz trying to out-position him. Zuniaki manages to make his way over, but he's going to spend the rest of his mana potentially to remove that. He can't even do it. He's dipping low. Triple stunned by Raikou, putting Zuniaki even further behind. He's on his last legs. How much longer can Zuni keep this up?
Yeah, Chaz is going to be in a lot of trouble very soon as well. Triple Fear coming in from Zuniaki. The last little bit of mana looking to close out this game onto Chaz. Zuniaki has to stabilize, but like you said, it's a race to the finish. Chaz trying to get away. Blessing of Protection comes in once again. Zuniaki looking for a Dispel, manages to find it, but Chaz... What? Oh, how is he alive?
Oh, wait. This might not be over. Zuniaki's still tapped. His team is still low. If Swapsy and Raikou keep playing this out, Swapsy can't connect on Zunia, though. I don't know if he'll go down with only Raikou. Mystic peels for him, but Mystic is low as well. Barrier gets dropped. Zuniaki's still tapped. Swapsy trades. He's just so low at this point. Zuniaki's spent all the rest of his mana. He's relying on smites to keep his team. It's going to be enough, despite being completely tapped.
Locked in this composition on the blind, expecting to be playing into the jungle. This is their answer for Skill Cap Red. If they can't find the win here, it looks like Skill Cap Red could just run away with the series.
Which is completely unexpected. I mean, Method Black were the dominant team throughout almost this entire year. If they can't win a matchup that they've strategically thought out and we're looking for in the blind pick, they can't win it when they've set it up perfectly. It's not looking too good for them moving into BlizzCon. They have to win this if they want to stay alive in the tournament. They are gunning down Chaz, which I think is the best target for Skill Cap Red. It's a risky one, but in a matchup such as this against such a durable comp, they have to go against the weakest link.
Yeah, Zuniaki trades out his Rapture, wants to keep his team aggressive, doesn't want to allow Raikou and Swapsy to get any sort of counter pressure. Chaz trying to kite away the best he can, uses Freedom once again, but Adam Rex and Cassidy are all over him. Darkness gets dropped out by Raikou. Are they going to be able to kill him through it? Blessing of Protection gets used. It gets dispelled, and they're able to claim game number 2 against Method Black. The all-in from Skill Cap Red works out beautifully.
Wow. I don't think losing until they found mid-series adaptations to win with their jungle. And it was like, wait, what happened? And then they can find the periods where they're going to be able to get in those advantageous compositions. Now Method Black needs to take a page out of Skill Cap Red's book and do the same exact thing. Will they be able to do it, or will Zuniaki send his 2 former teammates packing?
Oh, Chaz with a preemptive move there. He activated Blessing of Sacrifice right before Freezing Trap, so it broke him out of it. Now that crowd control isn't available for quite some time, his team can start to develop a lot of momentum as a result. Method Black making the same mistake they did in the upper bracket. The other team took advantage of the map advantage that Method Black was supposed to have and turned it in their favor with the strategy change. Now on the larger map, they're not running down Chaz. They're looking for crowd control and going on a different target. And Skill Cap Red's ability to switch their strategies on the fly is what's making them such a contender against teams that are already qualified for BlizzCon.
Yeah, swaps into the sun, has to activate the Astral Shift, and it gets overlapped with the Darkness. This is a disaster for Method Black. That was a huge choke defensively, and they're just running out of time, using their defensive cooldowns way too early.
Another Blessing of Sacrifice from Chaz. Now they could even switch to him and get pressure on 2 targets. Adam Rex finally dipping low, some counter pressure here from Method Black. Cassidy getting blinded by Chaz, but they would like to use that on Zuniaki, and Method Black seem to be choking under the pressure right now by Skill Capped Red. Skill Capped Red have a significant cooldown lead at the moment with triple crowd control secured. Swapsy chooses not to trinket. Chaz instead Divine Shields, uses Blessing of Protection. Zuniaki wants to remove that as soon as possible. The only thing they've got in their favor is mana, but Zuniaki's got more than enough, I think, to finish them.
Yeah, Swapsy has not a single defensive left for him. Chaz has his trinket. If he gets feared on it, though, that's going to be a disaster. Raiku's been doing a good job making sure that everyone is pressured on Skill Cap Red. Zuniaki's running out of time and mana, but Skill Cap Red, this next push, this next CC chain, it's going to be so scary for Swapsy.
The only way they win here is stun Cassidy, stun Zuniaki, and kill Cassidy 100-0. That's the only thing. Method Black gets a triple stun, but it was DR'd on Zuni. All of these diminishing returns stunned on Zuniaki. They had so much crowd control, a clear win condition there, but they didn't wait for the diminishing return, so the chain was too short. Fortunately for Chaz, reverse magic available, getting him out of that freezing trap, buying his team more time, and they actually are starting to stabilize. Right now, I'd say the only target that can die on Method Black is actually Chaz, but I guess it doesn't matter because Adam Rex is dead to the pressure. Swapsy getting some procs, and for their opponents here, Method Black need to be the ones to bounce back in this series, move it to a game 5. This is their strategic counter pick. As Chaz went down with a bit of a cooldown blunder on Dalaran, so let's see how Method Black can clean that up here in what could be their final game.
Yeah, Raikou moves in immediately, gets the mana rift on Zuniaki, full trap onto Chaz. It looks like it broke. I think it was reverse magic actually by Raikou, so nicely done by him using that Demon Hunter utility. Swapsy taking a little bit of damage. He seems to be the main target for Skill Cap Red.
This is the weakness of the Hunter, is that he's a lot more vulnerable to damage than the Warrior, so he's forced to retreat and run quite a lot. And I don't like the targeting so far from Skill Cap Red. They need to be gunning down Chaz. They can just get half of his cooldowns off the table because he can't use Hand of Sacrifice on himself. So attacking him makes the most sense. Triple blind here from Chaz, setting up Raikou for maybe a triple stun. Doesn't look like it's available. Chaz now caught in a stun as that blind stalled the damage out but didn't completely remove it. Darkness gets traded for Incarnation. Fair move by Raikou. Swapsy gets Freezing Trap. Would have liked to seen a Diamond Ice Honor talent change from Adam Rex so they can't remove that crowd control in the DPS members and they can isolate Chaz more easily. Still, they are going now after Chaz. That should be the target they've been gunning down from the start, but Chaz is doing a much better job this game of dealing with it.
He actually swapped over to the Dark Iron Dwarf, so I think that's a good adaptation from Method Black from these all-ins from Skill Cap Red. Chaz still getting a little bit low. Skill Cap Red trying to close out this game very early on. Zuniaki uses the powered barrier, but they have to walk out of it. They're not going to get too much use out of it. Bash now onto Chaz as he gets lower. Doesn't want to use anything too late. Activates the stone for him. It's going to keep him alive. It's a fair trade. And Method Black, they're doing a much better job defensively in this matchup.
Yeah, they still have Divine Shield, Blessing and Protection to work through to keep Chaz alive. Zuniaki's moving in. I'd like to see a stun double fear. I feel like we haven't seen one set up in quite some time. There's the double fear. Stun Chaz. Good crowd control chain by Skill Cap Red. And what do you know? That banks them Divine Shield. Chaz's biggest defensive cooldown to keep himself alive, burned through there with one crowd control effect. Zuniaki, Adam Rex, and Cassidy still have a lot of cooldowns to keep themselves alive. They're ahead of the race. It's up to Method Black to reverse the pressure.
Yeah, they definitely need to. Finding some damage over onto Adam Rex. Pain Suppression gets traded out by Zuniaki. Method Black has all the pressure and momentum so far, but Chaz, no bubble. It's going to be very dangerous for him. He's caught into the full maim stun. Triple fear coming in from Zuniaki. This is where Skill Cap Red can really get ahead if they can pull out the trinket or a Blessing of Protection. Going to be very scary for Chaz moving forward in the matchup.
All right, they don't manage to force Blessing and Protection. That buys Chaz even more time to reset cooldowns and burn the precious mana bar of Zuniaki as he is now almost tapped on mana. Method Black looking a lot better in this game than they did on Dalaran Sewers. Adam Rex on the back foot at low health. Zuniaki trying to move in. They need to secure a stun, double Psychic Scream. They get the Blessing and Protection a bit prematurely there. They're not able to get it removed just yet. Zuniaki can't really risk using the rest of his mana to remove it, instead deciding to wait and switch targets. Double Psychic Scream, no stun, easy dispel, but they trap the dispel. Swapsy now has to trinket. That was a nice move by Adam Rex, forcing Swapsy's trinket on a setup that they already got cooldowns from Chaz. They get his trinket now as well. It's a race to the finish as both teams are burning to the ends of their candles at the moment. Only Aspect of the Turtle for Adam Rex left, standing in the way of Method Black's victory.
Yeah, look at Chaz though. He's in so much trouble. The Avenging Wrath and Powered Healing is the only thing keeping him alive. If Adam Rex and Cassidy can stay on target, Chaz really has nothing whatsoever. Nice double fear coming in from Zuniaki as all three members looking to take Chaz down. Blessing and Protection gets traded out. Nice trap from Adam Rex, just not allowing Chaz to get into a more favorable position. Should be able to get back on target as soon as that trap fades, and they ultimately will. Incarnation available for Cassidy. Raikou needs to drop the Darkness as soon as possible to keep Chaz alive.
Cassidy preemptively Survival Instinct this stun. He could easily just be dead right now. That's a nice read by Cassidy. Darkness gets dropped. They knock Chaz out of the darkness into a triple fear. Great setup by Skill Capped Red. Chaz on the rope. Swapsy all that's left to keep him alive with that extra support. But even with the added support, it is not enough as Method Black are knocked out of the competition by Skill Capped Red. Zuniaki, the form
here on Sunday, and they're going to be in the upper portion of the bracket. Then we're going to see the best jungle make it on in the lower portion of the bracket to play against an enhancement, and then do you think we're going to see a jungle versus enhance in the grand final, or is it going to be an enhance rematch? I think that the meta in the EU is coming through crystal clear at the moment. Then do you think we're going to see anything different though in North America?